Chapter 934, The pretty boy became even more handsome. Just as Yun Chujio finished her sentence, the door opened and Di Biming walked out. Yun Chujio's mouth dropped and her face was filled with shock. Damn, why was the pretty boy even more handsome than before? Damn! His skin was almost as smooth as hers. How did things turn out so well? His facial features were as sharp as a knife, his eyebrows were as black as ink, and his eyes were like cold stars. His lips were tightly pursed and he exuded an aura of abstinence and lust. Yun Chujio felt that her little heart was about to jump out. Damn, she was about to faint. Di Biming was a little uncomfortable. He felt that it was too unmanly for a man to have such good skin. It was still better to have his original skin color, which was why he did not come out for a long time. However, when he saw Yun Chujio's infatuated gaze, a trace of pride rose in his heart. Maybe he would not go to the Crimson Flame Island to get a tan for the time being. Originally, he wanted to go there to get a tan a little since he liked dark things. Yun Chujio's little face was flushed red as she walked up to Di Biming. Prince Charming, you're so handsome. I'm going to be charmed to death by you. Di Biming was very proud when he saw Yun Chujio's shy little appearance. However, if he knew what she was thinking, he would probably strangle her to death. This fellow, Yun Chujio, felt that she had profited handsomely. This feeling was as if she had just changed boyfriends. An Feng and an Yin looked at each other. Deep sorrow flashed through their hearts. Did they take the same kind of pill? Not only did His Excellency not run to the toilet, he had become even more handsome, but they still looked the same. Yun Chujio diligently massaged Di Biming's shoulders and poured him tea. She was extremely virtuous, and her small eyes were filled with admiration. Di Biming felt as if he had drifted to the clouds. Di Biming enjoyed this kind of treatment, so he turned a blind eye to the pervert Yun Chujio who took advantage of him from time to time. An Feng and an Yin felt like rejects. The two of them hid in a corner and were secretly sad. Yun Chujio flirted with Di Biming for a while before she remembered what she originally set out to do. She eagerly took the fresh batch of Universal Essence cleansing pills and went to find the Yun siblings. When Yun Chuzi and the others saw the pill that Yun Chujio proudly took out, they could not help but think of the demonic beasts that had eaten Yun Chujio's pill. Some of them had 3 eyes, some had 2 tails, and some even had all their hair fallen off. They immediately shook their heads like rattle drums. They would not eat this pill even if they were beaten to death. Yun Chujio was anxious when she saw their reluctance. How could the pill that she had spent so much effort to refine not work? They had to eat it. Thus, she used her spiritual power that was much higher than theirs to forcefully stuff the pills into the Yun siblings' mouths. The Yun siblings were very anxious and wanted to spit out the pill. However, Yun Chujio just sat there and stared at them, so they could only forcefully endure it. After a quarter of an hour, the 6 people's stomachs began to hurt. Only then did Yun Chujio show her kindness and let them off. The 6 people immediately rushed to the latrine. The 6 of them only had one thought in their hearts: what was little Jiu doing? Was she crazy? Sob, could it be that they had also started transforming into monsters? When the 6 of them came out of the latrine, Yun Chujio had already gone elsewhere. She was currently interrogating Feng Ming and the other 2 with a serious expression. 3 senior brothers, I have here 3 top-notch rare pills. After you take them, your spiritual power level will increase in the blink of an eye. However, you must first tell me, have your fruits been peeled yet? Chapter 935, does not have any side effects. Peeled fruit. What did that mean? Feng Ming and the other 2 did not react at first and looked at Yun Chujio in confusion. Yun Chujio coughed dryly. What I meant was that you guys haven't had sex with anyone, right? Sex. The 3 of them still did not quite understand what Yun Chujio meant. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. What I meant was that you guys haven't had sex with a woman yet, right? Had sex. Although the three of them had never heard of such a thing, they could roughly guess it. The three innocent young men's faces immediately flushed red. Junior sister Xiaojiu, why are you asking this question? My pill is a bit special. It's only effective for those who have never done it yet. Have the three of you ever had sex? The three of them shook their heads repeatedly. However, they were just as opposed to the pill in Yun Chujia's hand as the Yun siblings. It was because they remembered those demonic beasts that had been tortured by Yun Chujio. That hairless bear had yet to regrow its hair. Humph. When have I ever cheated you? I'll ask you again. Are you going to eat it or not? If you don't, I'll give it to someone else. After saying that, Yun Chujio acted as if she was going to leave. The three of them smelled the rich medicinal fragrance and thought about the alluring effect that Yun Chujio said. They gritted their teeth and said, well, take it. That's right. This spirit medicine was refined by me with some difficulty. As long as you eat it, your spiritual power will rise. When that time comes, I'll wait for you guys. Then, we can ascend together. Think about how wonderful that is. All of you are the youngest to ascend apart from me. How awesome is that? Yun Chujio handed the medicinal pill to the three of them and said with a smile. When the three of them heard Yun Chujio's words, they swallowed the medicinal pill without hesitation. Feng Ming thought for a moment and asked, Junior sister Little Jiu, there aren't any side effects from this medicinal pill, right? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Side effects? Will the medicinal pill I refined have any side effects? Don't worry, there aren't any side effects at all. Just wait for your spiritual power to soar. Well, I will leave first and wait for the good news. After saying that, Yun Chujio hummed a song and hopped away. Feng Ming and the other two looked at each other. Why did they feel that junior sister Little Jiu's seemed somewhat smug before she left? She was not teasing them, right? The three of them could not help but think of those mutated demonic beasts that were tortured by Yun Chujio. 2 hours later, the three of them clenched their stomachs and rushed into the toilet. Fuck. They knew that junior sister Little Jiu must have hidden something from them. Was this a cleansing pill or a laxative? However, when they came out of the latrine with pale faces, they felt that their bodies were incomparably lighter. Their perception of things was also much more sensitive than before. Most importantly, they felt that the speed of absorbing spiritual power was much faster than before. Junior sister Little Jiu's pill must have helped us remove the impurities in our bodies. In other words, our spiritual root level has increased, Gung Yi said excitedly. Although junior sister Little Jiu has a temperamental personality, she is still reliable in big matters. We can't let her down. Hurry up and cultivate. Well, strive to reach the Tian Yuan continent with her. Shi Xian nodded and said. However, Shi Xian's heart was somewhat worried about Yun Chuki. Her spiritual power level was a little low, and she was afraid that she would not be able to ascend together with him. However, junior sister Little Jiu would think of a way to help her. It would be good for him to go to the Tian Yuan continent to check things out first. When she ascends, he would make things smoother for her. Chapter 936, Big Red Packet. After Yun Chujio distributed all the pills, she hopped back to her dormitory. Prince Charming, you'd better tell your master about those cleansing pills. It's best if there are no restrictions. Give a few to my grandfather and uncle so that they can become stronger. Di Baiming nodded and took out a voice transmission talisman to send a message to his master. However, he could not send any messages. It was likely that the old man was in seclusion or traveling again. I could not send a message. I will try again another day. Don't worry, I will definitely follow up on this matter. And, Prince Charming, I don't need to worry about you. The person I trust the most is you. Yun Chujio was like an infatuated girl. As she looked at the newly made beautiful man in front of her, and her eyes were filled with little hearts. Di Biming coughed a few times unnaturally, but in his heart, he was quite proud. It did not matter if the cat was black or white, a cat that could catch a mouse was already a good cat. As long as little Jiu liked him, it was good enough. Yun Chujio looked at Di Biming, whose ears were slightly red, and her heart itched. Her claws subconsciously touched Di Biming's face. Damn, it was so slippery. Just as Yun Chujio wanted to touch him again, a shout came from the sky, "Little trash! Stop!" Yun Chujio silently rolled her eyes. The old witch was here. As expected, the palace mistress was here. However, this time, she listened to Di Biming's suggestion and did not take the luxurious flying spirit tool. Instead, she took a very ordinary-looking flying spirit tool. The palace mistress heard Di Biming say that Yun Chujio was already at the 8th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. She did not believe it at all and felt that Di Biming was lying to her. However, she was still uncertain and decided to come to find out for herself. "Greetings, Palace Mistress. Long time no see. I miss you so much. I can dream of you every day. In my dreams, you cared for me in every way. This little heart of mine is so touched," Yun Chujio said with a touched expression. The palace mistress snorted coldly, but she was very surprised in her heart. How did this little trash become more and more beautiful? He was almost on par with the few ladies that she had high hopes for. Humph. It must be that little brat Biming who had asked his master for some beautiful medicinal pills. The palace mistress looked at Yun Chujio's spiritual power again. Humph. This little brat Biming was indeed lying to her. This lasts only at the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. When Yun Chujio went to the Sea of Stars, she had adjusted her spiritual power to the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. She did not even think about changing it when she returned. Therefore, the palace mistress only saw Yun Chujio at the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. As the palace mistress had already experienced Yun Chujio's sharp tongue, she kept a cold face throughout the whole process. Other than a cold snort, she ignored her. Instead, she was stunned by Di Biming's appearance. "Biming, how did your skin become so good? Has your master developed a new beauty pill? Hurry up and give me a few." The palace mistress said anxiously. Women were always very concerned about their appearance, and the palace mistress was no exception. "Mother, what beauty pill are you talking about? I only took the universal essence cleansing pill that little Jiu refined for me to turn out like this," Di Biming explained. "Humph. Who are you trying to kid? That little trash can even refine pills. You little bastard. Did your master only give you 2 pills, so you took one and gave that little trash the other? As expected, you have forgotten your mother when you had a wife." The palace mistress sighed in anger. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Thank you for acknowledging my identity, mother. Although it's a little early to call me his wife before we get married, I don't mind. However, shouldn't you give me a big red packet instead?" Chapter 937, The Palace Mistress. The palace mistress wanted nothing more than to slap Yun Chujio to death. She slapped the stone table instead and said, "Nonsense. When did I admit that you were his wife? Mother, didn't you just say it? You just said that Brother Biming had a wife and forgot about her mother." Yun Chujio looked at the crack on the stone table and curled her lips. What a prodigal woman, slapping the table for fun whenever she had nothing to do. I was just using a metaphor. Do you understand what a metaphor is? You can't even understand basic languages, what a waste. The palace mistress said angrily. Yun Chujio was not angry and continued to smile. "Oh, so it was a metaphor. I thought you had accepted things. After all, I am about to meet the condition that you proposed earlier." The palace mistress sneered. "You're about to complete it? You are only at the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm, how can you meet my condition? You are overestimating yourself. First level of the spiritual emperor realm. Yun Chujio suddenly remembered that she did revert to her usual spiritual power level. Her eyes rolled and evil thoughts appeared again. Therefore, she said, "Palace mistress, you may not know this, but my cultivation method is a little special. As long as I want, I can raise the first level of the spiritual emperor realm to the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm." The palace mistress was so angry that she laughed. "Little trash, do you think I am a 3-year-old child? Aren't you afraid that you will hurt your tongue if you boast too much? Sigh. Why don't you believe me, palace mistress? How about this, the two of us can make a bet. If I can raise my spiritual power to the 8th layer of the spiritual emperor realm within 15 minutes, you can pay the revised fee of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. If I can't do it, I'll return you the 100,000 high-grade spirit stones that you gave me last time." Yun Chujio said with a slightly provocative look. The palace mistress glared at Yun Chujio. "Who do you think you are? You're really thick-skinned." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes innocently. "Palace mistress, if not the mother and son, then are we sisters? It can't be the grandfather and grandson, right?" The palace mistress was so angry that her head hurt a little. She felt that she was asking for trouble by talking with this little trash. "Palace mistress, are we still going to have this bet? If you don't have confidence in yourself, it's fine if you don't want to fight. After all, I don't care." "Humph. I don't have confidence. If you want to make a bet, then let's make a bet. However, it's just a simple bet. Don't flatter yourself," the palace mistress said disdainfully. "This little trash is too infuriating. I had already thought about it when I came here. I only came to take a look. I'm not going to lower myself to her level. However, she needs to be taught a lesson. Let's just gamble. It's also 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. Palace mistress, are you sure you have that kind of money with you? Don't tell me that you don't have money when you eventually lose." Yun Chujio secretly curled her lips. "Humph, do you think that I'm willing to call you mother? Pooey. If it wasn't for the sake of Prince Charming, I would have angered you to death." Palace mistress snorted coldly. "As expected, you're from a small family. 100,000 high-grade spirit stones is just small change to me. Naturally, I won't blame you. However, the person who loses will be you. Just don't act so shamelessly." Di Biming stood at the side and looked up at the sky with an expressionless face. "My God, it's not that your son is not on your side. You just jumped into the pit yourself. I've already told you that little Nine is at the 8th layer of the spiritual emperor realm. Why don't you believe me? You have all the spirit stones in our family. If you lose a little, so be it. After all, we're all family." An Feng and an Yin silently gave a wave of sympathy to the palace mistress. "Your spirit stones are forfeit. You always say that you're here to pick a fight, but why are you always making things easy for the 9th miss?" Chapter 938, Must be separated. Seeing the strange expressions on the three of them, the palace mistress felt a little suspicious in her heart. Could it be that she had been tricked by this little trash again? No. Her spiritual power level was much higher than this little girl. How could she not even be able to tell her true spiritual power level? She must be thinking too much. Yun Chujio glanced at the palace mistress with a smile, but she was not in a hurry to adjust her spiritual power level. Instead, she said, "Palace mistress, it's still not too late for you to go back on your words now. Why don't we just forget about this bet? You are a guest here, so I'd be sorry for making you spend so much money. Moreover, 100,000 high-grade spirit stones is no small amount." Before Yun Chujio could finish her words, she was interrupted by the palace mistress. "Cut the crap. I've said it before, and I will never go back on my words. Are you stalling for time? If you can't do it, then just admit defeat." Yun Chujio spread her hands. "All right, since you insist, then I will start. Watch carefully. It's time to witness a miracle. The palace mistress curled her lips and acted haughtily, I will enjoy watching you cry if you can't ascend. Yun Chujio had the intention to tease the palace mistress. She played around and then pretended to be discouraged. Aya, why hasn't it changed? It's over, it's over. Am I going to lose? The palace mistress raised her eyebrows and curled her lips. I told you, how could this little girl reach the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm in less than a year? As expected, Baiming was lying to her. However, it was not bad to get the 100,000 high-grade spirit stones back. She was completely cheated by the little girl back then. The palace mistress' prideful look did not last long. She saw Yun Chujia's spiritual power rise until she reached the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm. Yun Chujio giggled. Aya, palace mistress, give me the spirit stones. I'm so sorry. You always give me something every time I come here. It's so rare to have such a generous mother-in-law like you. I'm so lucky to have met a mother-in-law like you. The palace mistress was shocked. She rubbed her eyes. This little piece of trash rose to the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm in just a few months. The talent of one with the heavenly thunder root spirit was indeed monstrous. However, this strengthened her determination to separate Yun Chujio and Di Baiming. Such a monstrous talent would not be tolerated by Tian Dao. Sooner or later, she would be wiped out by the Tian Dao. Moreover, it would also implicate Baiming. She was not suitable for Baiming at all. Humph. You are looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. I admit that your cultivation speed is not bad, but your starting point is far inferior to other children of the same age in the Tian Yuan continent. With your talent, you are not even qualified to be admitted into Tian Xian Academy, let alone the top 100 of the roll of prodigies. Said the palace mistress with disdain as she passed the spirit stones to Yun Chujio. Palace mistress, I have always believed in a saying, that is, don't bully the young and poor. Just because I am weak now does not mean that I will always be weak. Just because I have a low starting point does not mean that I will lose. Where there is a will, there is a way. Isn't it just the top 100 of roll of prodigies? Let's wait and see. Yun Chujia's small figure was rigid as she spoke with a firm tone. The palace mistress was momentarily stunned. She had to admit that this little trash still had some redeeming qualities. This fearlessness was somewhat similar to when she was young. If her family background was better, if she didn't have the heavenly thunder spirit root that the Tian Dao forbade, she would have been able to make do. Unfortunately, this condition would burden Baiming. No matter what, she had to separate the two of them. Chapter 939, I feel a little bad. The palace mistress regained her senses and said coldly, anyone can boast. Let's not talk about anything else. Ascending requires the test of 9 heavenly lightning bolts. I'm afraid that you won't be able to stand all 9. Let's talk about it after you pass this test. The palace mistress realized that after she said that, Di Baiming and the other 2 bodyguards had strange expressions on their faces. She frowned slightly. What was going on? She was right. Why did they have such expressions? Anfeng thought to himself, my lady, you seem to have misunderstood the situation of Tian Lei in 9th Mississippi. When the time comes, the one who will be sad will probably not be the 9th Miss but Tian Lei, okay? Don't mention 9 bolts of heavenly lightning, even 9,000, or 90,900 bolts would not be able to do anything to this little devil. The one who would run away, in the end, would definitely be Tian Lei, okay? The palace mistress did not know the inside story and misunderstood that they were worried about Yun Chujio. She said coldly, if you can't even withstand the heavenly lightning tribulation, then you don't have the qualifications to ascend. Just give up. Yun Chujio looked like she was in tears of gratitude. Palace mistress, I did not expect you to think so much for me. You even thought about my trials and tribulations. No wonder Brother Baiming told me that you are the kindest and most magnanimous person. You have always been sharp-tongued, but in fact, you are extremely soft-hearted. You say that you don't like me, but in your heart, you have always been thinking about me. I didn't believe it at first, but now, I believe it. The palace mistress was choked by Yun Chujia's words. If she said that she was not worried about her, then that would be unkind. But to say that she was worried about her. Tui. She wished that this little trash would not succeed in her trial. She could not say something that went against her heart. Di Baiming felt that his mother was no match for Yun Chujio, so he could only attempt to smooth things over. Mother, you haven't had dinner yet, right? Let's have dinner first. The palace mistress snorted coldly. I have no appetite. Come back with me. Your father has come out of closed-door cultivation. I have something to talk to you about. Di Baiming frowned. Just as he hesitated, Yun Chujio said with a smile, Brother Baiming, since uncle is looking for you, then you should go back with the palace mistress. Don't worry, I will cultivate well and strive to enter the Tian Yuan Academy as soon as possible. The palace lord's wife snorted coldly. This little trash had good judgment, but it was a pity that her background was too low. She would not be able to cause any trouble again once Baiming is taken away. Palace mistress, if you have time, come and take a stroll. Next time, you don't have to prepare such a big red packet for me. Every time you visit, you give me such a large amount. I feel a little bad in my heart. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The palace mistress wished that she could slap this little devil to death. She endured it and squeezed out several words from between her teeth, take care of yourself. Baiming, let's go. Yun Chujio waved her little handkerchief to send Di Baiming and the palace mistress off. She then began to indulge in her own little days once again. To maintain the same progress as Feng Ming and the other two, she deliberately slowed down her cultivation speed. It was not bad to consolidate her foundation. After showing off for a few days, she finally remembered her initial goal and decided to pay a visit to Yun Chuzi and the others to see how the effects of the Universal Essence cleansing pill were. Before Yun Chujio went to look for them, the Yun siblings came to look for Yun Chujio excitedly. Little Jiu. Your pills are amazing. In less than half a month, I've advanced 2 levels. Yun Chuki said excitedly. Yun Chulu grinned and shouted, me too. Little Jiu, I wronged you back then. I thought the pills you refined were unreliable. I didn't expect them to be so awesome. Chapter 940, The Decision of Feng Ming and the other two. Yun Chujio said smugly, when have I ever let you guys down? However, don't level up too quickly. Stabilize yourselves before you break through. Yun Chuzi and the others nodded repeatedly. The gratitude in their hearts could not be described with words. They had thought that they could only stay in the small Yi city for the rest of their lives. They did not expect that there was a chance for them to ascend now. It was something that they did not even dare to dream about in the past, and all of this was because of little Jiu. Qing Si wanted to say something, but she hesitated. The gratitude in her heart towards Yun Chujio did not need to be expressed. However, her background was special. After thinking for a while, she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. Yun Chujio saw Qing Si's expression and did not ask any further. Everyone had their own private matters. As long as they knew that she did not have any ill intentions, it was fine as long as she was willing to show it. It did not matter even if she did not say anything. The next day, Feng Ming and the other two also found Yun Chujio. They were so excited that they were about to go crazy. Although they felt that the speed of their spiritual power absorption had increased after taking the medicine, they did not expect it to be so fast. It was truly shocking. Yun Chujio did not reveal an excited expression when she heard the words of the 3 of them. She said with a serious expression, Senior brothers, I've thought about it these few days. My previous actions were too reckless. I didn't consider it thoroughly enough. Although you can advance very quickly after taking the pills, your foundation isn't solid. Even if it's a heavenly tribulation, it'll help you to endure it. When you reach the Tianyuan continent, you'll need at least a year to consolidate your foundation. You can't continue to break through. When that time comes, you'll have to endure a period of being despised and criticized by others. Are you mentally prepared? If you feel that you can't bear it, you can slow down your cultivation speed. I will fly to the Tianyuan continent alone first. These days, Yun Chuzhou had been reflecting on this kind of act of pulling out seedlings to encourage growth. She felt that she was a little selfish, so she had to let everyone know Feng Ming and the other two were stunned. These days, they were immersed in the joy of their soaring spiritual power and did not think too much about it. Now that they heard what Yun Chuzhou had to say, they began to consider it carefully. The three of them were like dragons and phoenixes among men. With a little thought, they understood the hidden meaning behind Yun Chuzhou's words. Although Yun Chuzhou helped them as fellow disciples, it was also to her benefit. If they took the other party's benefits and then retreated, it would be too disloyal. Moreover, the tempering of one's temperament was also a part of cultivation. So what if they were to be despised and criticized? Junior sister Little Jiu suffered a lot more than them back then. If she could even endure it as a little girl, so could they. Junior sister Little Jiu, we understand your meaning. We have decided to ascend to the Tianyuan continent with you. The cultivation of the three of us can be said to have been very smooth. We have always been outstanding. It just so happens that we have lost some of the temperings of our temperament. It's not bad to suffer some hardships when we arrive at the Tianyuan continent. Feng Ming said seriously. Seeing that the three of them did not seem to be forced to speak, Yun Chuzhou nodded. Senior brothers, don't worry. Although we will be the weakest when we first arrive at the Tianyuan continent, in less than 5 years, I will definitely let you reach the top of the Tianyuan continent. If Yun Chuzhou said these words 3 years ago, Feng Ming and the other two would think that there was something wrong with her head. However, after spending 3 years together and personally witnessing Yun Chuzhou's monstrous growth, the three of them firmly believed in her words. Junior sister Little Jiu would be able to do it. Chapter 941, Thunder Sex Medicine Shop. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than half a year had passed. The spiritual power of Feng Ming and the other two had soared. At that time, they had already reached the peak of the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm. Yun Chuzhou thought that in less than a month, the four of them would be able to ascend. Some things should be arranged for the journey. Those days, Yun Chuzhou had been holed up in the courtyard as she refined a lot of medicinal pills. She decided to make a trip to Spirit Radiant City. First, she would meet her grandfather. Second, she would arrange a meeting with the members of the Thunder Sect. Yun Chuzhou first went to the Thunder Sect's medicine shop. There was a long queue outside the medicine shop. This was because Yun Chuzhou had asked Yu Hai and the others to implement hunger marketing. Every day, they would only sell elixirs to the top 100 customers. Moreover, there was a limit to the number of each type of elixir. People behaved predictably. The more they could not buy something, the more they wanted to buy it. Moreover, the elixirs sold by the Thunder Sect's medicine shop were either high-grade or super-grade. After eating them, it cleansed their bodies completely. It was worth it to pay a little extra. When everyone saw Yun Chuzhou, they greeted her one after another. Yun Chuzhou's deeds had almost spread across the entire Azure Mystic continent. Everyone was extremely respectful towards her. However, they did not know that Yun Chuzhou was the owner of the Thunder Sect's medicine shop. They only thought that the Spirit Radiant Sect and the Thunder Sect's medicine shop had some dealings with each other. They thought to themselves, no wonder the Thunder Sect's medicine shop had so many high-grade elixirs. It turned out that they had connections with the Spirit Radiant Sect. After Yun Chuzhou entered the back hall of the medicine shop, Yu Hai and the others hurriedly went forward to greet her. Yun Chujio waved her hand and took out a few large jars of medicinal pills. You guys keep these medicinal pills. When the time is ripe, you can open a few more branches. When Yu Hai and the others saw the few large jars of medicinal pills on the ground, they were so scared that they almost collapsed to the ground. Oh my God, it was already scary enough when they saw the sect leader use a basin to hold medicinal pills. They did not expect that this time, she would use a jar to hold medicinal pills. It was too strange. Now that the Thunder Sect medicinal shop's reputation has been established, all of you should also start recruiting some alchemists and sell some ordinary medicinal pills alongside the higher-end ones. This is to prevent any delays in replenishing the supply of medicinal pills after I ascend in the future. All of you can also maintain the business yourselves. Do you understand? Yu Hai nodded his head in agreement. Sect Master, how much longer do you have before you ascend to the Tian Yuan continent? About a month. When the Tian Yuan Academy is on holiday, I will come back and deliver the medicinal pills to you. She was just that confident. She had never considered what would happen if she could not enter the Tian Yuan Academy. After the business is on track, you can start establishing the sect. I have informed Master Shenyuan that if you have any problems in the future, you can seek help from the Spirit Radiance sect. After Yu Hai and the others nodded their heads in agreement, Yun Chujio gave some instructions before leaving the Thunder Sect's medicine shop and heading to the Yun residence. Grandfather. Grandfather. Little Jio is here to see you. Did you miss me? Yun Chujio rushed into Yun Xiaoshan's study. Yun Xiaotian could not help but laugh when he saw Yun Chujio jumping into the room. You're already a big girl, why are you still like a child? Although Yun Xiaotian was scolding her, his tone was full of warmth. Little Jio had become the hero of Azure Mystic Continent from a lowlife that everyone despised. It made him feel incredibly proud. Grandfather, even if I grow to be 100 years old, I will still be a little girl in front of you. Hee, grandfather, the medicinal pills I gave you last time were not bad, right? I see that your spiritual power has increased a lot. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Yun Xiaotian smiled and nodded. Not bad. I originally thought that I would never be able to reach the level of a spirit cultivator in my life. I did not expect that after eating the medicine you gave me, I broke through. It seems that I have hope of achieving the level of a spirit cultivator. Chapter 942, The Love That Yun Chujio Wants. Grandfather, don't stop at spirit cultivator. You still have to ascend in the future. When the time comes, help me and the pretty boy take care of our child. Hee. Yun Chujio's words reminded Yun Xiaotian, Little Jio, grandfather wants to ask you what your plans are. In a few months, you will reach marriageable age. Are you considering getting engaged or getting married to that beaming child? Grandfather, although he treats me well and we are in love, the gap between the two of us is too big. Although he doesn't care about things like spiritual power or family background, many others don't think the same way. Therefore, I have to work hard to become strong enough to stand side by side with him. Silly child, since ancient times, haven't men been strong and the women weak? Isn't he also living a good life? A girl like you is more or less good enough. Yun Xiaotian said this not because he looked down on Yun Chujio, it was because he felt sorry for her. It was too hard for her to carry so much on her shoulders at such a young age. Grandfather, I want our love to be equal. I don't want to be any of us to be superior. I don't want to be dependent on others. The love I want is for two people to have the same vision and the same language. This kind of love will become stronger and stronger over time. It won't fade with the deterioration of my appearance, and there won't be groundless speculation because of my inferiority complex. Yun Xiaotian was stunned. Although he could not understand what Yun Chujio was thinking, he knew that Yun Chujio had her own ideas. He could only say, all right, since you have your own plans, then do as you wish. No matter what you do, grandfather will support you. Yun Chujia's heart warmed. Although the old man in front of her had no blood relationship with her, he had always been very kind to her. She would repay him well. Cough cough. Little Jiu, there was something that grandfather shouldn't have said. However, your mother wasn't around, so grandfather had no choice but to thicken his skin and tell you. Before you marry that Baiming child, don't do anything that you shouldn't do. If you marry him, you'll be his concubine. Don't let the Baiming family find fault with you. Yun Chuzhou nodded. She knew that Yun Xiaotian was doing this for her good. Not to mention anything else, with her current small body, she would not dare to do anything bad even if she wanted to. Yun Xiaotian only relaxed when he saw Yun Chuzhou nod her head. Although Yun Chuzhou had never told him about Di Baiming's family matters, he had lived for so long and was very worldly. That child's family background was probably complicated. In the future, he might not agree to the marriage between the two. If they were separated at that time, if they did not take the final step yet, little Jiu would still be able to recover from it. The grandfather and granddaughter chatted for a long time. Yun Chuzhou only returned to the Spirit Radiance sect after dinner. A month later, Yun Chuzhou and Feng Ming reached the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sovereign Realm at the same time. They were about to undergo the tribulation and ascend. Almost all the influential people in the Azure Mystic Continent had gathered in front of the Spirit Radiance sect's main gate. No one in the Azure Mystic Continent had ascended for thousands of years. They did not expect that 4 people in the Spirit Radiance sect would do it at once. Moreover, they were all young people who had not even reached the age of 25. It was an enviable situation. Originally, Yun Chuzhou had wanted the location of the ascension to be at the back of the middle peak. However, seeing that there were so many people gathered to watch, she had no choice but to change the location to the empty space in front of the Spirit Radiance sect. This way, it would be convenient for everyone to watch the ceremony without any potential collateral damage. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji also rushed over from the Tian Yuan continent, afraid that Yun Chuzhou would have some mishaps along the way. Feng Ming and the other 2 were very anxious. To ascend, they needed to withstand 9 heavenly thunders. They were not confident in their hearts. This spiritual power had risen too quickly and they were not yet in full control of it. This feeling was similar to the feeling that although they had money in their pockets, they still felt like they had borrowed it. Chapter 943, A Unique Way to Pass the Heavenly Tribulation. Junior Sister Little Jiu, how do you plan to help us resist the heavenly lightning during the trial? Feng Ming asked in a low voice. Don't worry, I'm always dealing with heavenly lightning. If it's a familiar cloud, I'll just bribe it. If it's a newbie, I'll have a way to provoke them. They hate me to the bone now. As long as I flirt with them a little, they won't care about you. When the time comes, you'll just have to hide further away. However, you'll probably have to suffer 1 or 2 lightning strikes at the very least. Otherwise, you won't be able to fool them, understand? Feng Ming and the other 2 nodded in agreement. Even so, they were still a little nervous as they waited anxiously for the arrival of the heavenly lightning. After a while, Wu Yun drifted over from afar. It was clear that 1 Wu Yun was assigned to each one of them. Feng Ming and the other 2 were dumbfounded. 1 Wu Yun per person. It would not be so easy for junior sister Little Jiu to cheat after all. They would not be directly struck to death, right? Yun Chuzhou glanced at the 4 Wu Yun in the sky. They were all young and new. Yun Chuzhou placed her hands on her hips and started to provoke them. Hey! Are you guys planning to split up and attack me? If you guys all attack together, it won't work. I advise you guys to split up and attack me together. Otherwise, there will be no effect on me at all. Unexpectedly, the 4 Wu Yun did not pay attention to Yun Chuzhou. Instead, they obediently took their place above each person. With a rumble, 4 purple lightning bolts struck Yun Chujio and the other 2. Yun Chujio did not feel anything much, so she did not care. Although Feng Ming and the other 2 were not injured, they had consumed a lot of spiritual power enduring the attack, so she was worried. Yun Chujio frowned. Something was not right. Why did these young Wuyun not pay attention to her? It was extremely strange. What Yun Chujio did not know was that when Yun Chujio broke through to the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm, those Wuyun helped Yun Chujio destroy the godly devil hall. When they went back, they were criticized, saying that they had harmed innocents, and a few of them were destroyed. When they appeared for the trial, they had especially been warned that they were not allowed to make a mistake. Yun Chujio changed her tactics and cursed again. The second bolt of heavenly lightning still struck 4 people each. Feng Ming and the other 2 had to take another bolt of heavenly lightning. The 3 of them felt suffocated and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Yun Chujio frowned. This couldn't go on. Senior brother Feng Ming and the others could only withstand 5 bolts of lightning at most. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and had an idea. Yun Chujio summoned the 3 silly munchkins and stuffed one each into Feng Ming and the other's hands. You 3 take a few hits for them. Little Black Bird did not care. Little Black Rat and Little Red were stunned. They were about to say something, but Yun Chujio glared at them. How can you see the rainbow without experiencing the wind and rain? Your level is not high enough to ascend in the first place. You got this far because of me. It's time to earn your place. You won't die even if you take 3 or 5 hits. Stop wasting time. Little Black Rat and Little Red had no choice but to reluctantly lie on Gung Yi and Shi Xian's bodies, ready to help absorb the lightning strikes. Little Black Bird stood on Feng Ming's shoulder, looking as if it did not care at all. Not to mention 3 or 5 lightning bolts, even 30 lightning bolts would not be a problem for him now. Feng Ming and the other 2 knew that Yun Chujio's 3 spiritual pets were not ordinary ones, so they did not decline. With their help, they would definitely be able to endure all 9 lightning bolts. Feng Ming and the others were ready, but the 4 Wu Yun in the sky were dumbfounded. Chapter 944, A Strange Ascension Dam. This damned girl was too cunning. Those 3 spiritual beasts were on those 3 people. No matter how good their aim was, it was inevitable that they would miss. Moreover, even if they were aiming at those 3 people at the beginning, those 3 could still take the initiative to help get struck by the lightning. What should they do? Yun Chujio put her hands on her hips and said proudly, "Hey, Wu Yun in the sky, listen up. If you know what's good for you, just strike me with all your might. Think about it. If I ascend to the Tian Yuan continent, you will be free in the future. Without me, you can regain your former glory. If you provoke me, I will not be able to ascend today. I will end up scolding the old bastard Tian Dao every 2 to 3 days. When that time comes, I will torture you to death." The 4 Wu Yun in the sky were at a loss. Yun Chujio's words were too tempting for them. It was because of this scourge that the Wu Yun's reputation as a whole was completely ruined. If she really went to the Tian Yuan continent, would they be able to rebuild their reputation? However, if they did as she said, they would be punished when they returned. If they were not careful, they might even be destroyed. What should they do? At that moment, Yun Chujio sighed faintly. "Sigh, I know it's not easy for you guys. If the heavenly lightning strikes me, I'll definitely be punished when I go back. How about this? I'll give you guys an idea. You can just do it normally. However, when you do it, you have to strike a person with a bolt of heavenly lightning and a spiritual pet with a bolt of heavenly lightning. Those 3 are my spiritual pets anyway, so it won't affect the innocents. How about it?" The 4 Wu Yun thought about it and felt that it was the only way. Even if they did not agree, it was inevitable that they would not be able to strike their targets accurately. Thus, the four Wu Yun trembled and agreed to Yun Chujia's suggestion. Yun Chujio was very pleased in her heart. Little brats, you still want to fight me? I can easily take care of all of you. Thus, the three silly munchkins helped Feng Ming and the others to absorb half of the heavenly lightning. Although Feng Ming and the other two were heavily injured, they were still able to hold on. The four Wu Yun completed their mission and could not wait to float away. They wanted to tell all the Wu Yun that the scourge, Yun Chujio, was about to leave the Tian Yuan continent. Their dark days were finally gone for good, and the little scourge was finally about to leave, ha ha ha. At that moment, a halo appeared in front of Yun Chujio and the other three. As long as they stepped into the halo, the four of them would be directly teleported to the Tian Yuan continent. Only ascenders had the opportunity to use such an ascension teleportation array. Yun Chujio smiled brightly at the crowd. Everyone, I'm going to the Tian Yuan continent to terrorize them. Wait for my good news. When the time comes, I'll get some good stuff from the Tian Yuan continent to sell to you. The corners of everyone's eyes twitched violently. They initially thought that Yun Chujio meant to get some good stuff to give to them. They did not expect her to want to sell them the goods. This money grubber. However, even if she wanted to sell them, it was fine. The things in the Tian Yuan continent must be much more advanced than those in the Azure Mystic continent, so it should be worth it. Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, see you in the Tian Yuan continent. Yun Chujio waved her claws at Di Baiming and Shui Wuji. She had already made an agreement with Di Baiming not to announce their relationship in the Tian Yuan continent for the time being to avoid unnecessary trouble. It would be bad if she attracted the attention of a few white lotuses. It would be better to wait until she had a firm footing. Only then did Yun Chujio, Feng Ming, and the other two step into the teleportation formation. A white light flashed and the four of them disappeared. At that moment, Master Shenyuan frowned. Strange. Wasn't there supposed to be a phenomenon after successfully ascending? For example, some immortal music, or flowers blooming. Why was there nothing other than the teleportation formation this time? Chapter 945, The Demon Wolf. Master Shenyuan shook his head. Perhaps he was thinking too much, or maybe it was because thousands of years had passed, so the rules had changed. After 4 hours, Yun Chujio and the others finally came out of the teleportation array. When they saw the scene in front of them, they were stunned. They said that after ascending, they would be teleported to Xinyuan City. Why were they in a desert instead? Yun Chujio's heart sank. Di Baiming had already arranged for Feng to pick them up in Xinyuan City. How did they end up here? Yun Chujio took out a sound transmission talisman and wanted to ask Di Baiming what was going on. She did not expect that the sound transmission talisman could not be used. Yun Chujio had a bad premonition. She took out the chopping board and tried it. As expected, it could not be used either. Junior sister Little Jiu, didn't you say that after ascending, the injuries on your body from the lightning tribulation will heal themselves? Why haven't our injuries recovered? Feng Ming asked in puzzlement. Yun Chujio took out 3 heaven-grade blood coagulation pills and handed them to Feng Ming and the other two. Then, she said, I'm afraid that you guys have been implicated by me. It should be Tian Dao who is causing trouble. We can only think of a way to escape this desert by ourselves and then head to Xinyuan City. After Feng Ming and the other two took the pills, half their injuries instantly recovered. Shi Xian said with a smile, Junior sister Little Jiu, what do you mean by not being implicated? The 4 of us will be friends through life and death in the future. There's no need for such polite words. Senior brother Shi Xian, I naturally won't be polite with you. You might be my 7th brother-in-law in the future. Hee hee. Yun Chujio could always maintain an optimistic attitude. Even if the current situation was so terrible, she could still think of a way to brighten up the atmosphere. Shi Xian's face went slightly red. Your seventh sister hasn't given me her word yet. I'll need junior sister Little Jio's help in the future. Senior brother Shi Xian, don't worry. My seventh sister has doted on me since I was young. As long as you perform well, I'll put in a few good words for you. Yun Chujio shamelessly ignored her dark history. Shi Xian did not know about her history, so he believed her. Then I'll have to trouble junior sister Little Jio. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. Usually, Shi Xian was the most astute of the three. She did not expect him to be so foolish when he met her seventh sister. Just as the four of them were chatting and laughing, they suddenly felt a powerful pressure. Yun Chujio could endure it, but Feng Ming and the other two felt their chests tighten and they could not breathe. The four of them looked ahead warily. They saw a huge demonic beast pouncing towards them. Yun Chujio and the others had a better understanding of the demonic beasts of the Azure Mystic Continent, but they knew nothing about the demonic beasts of the Tian Yuan Continent. Yun Chujio and the others had no idea what kind of demonic beast this was. They did not know what level of spiritual power it was, but one thing was for sure, this demonic beast's spiritual power level was much higher than the four of them. This demonic beast looked very similar to a wolf. It was probably a type of demonic wolf. The demonic wolf's eyes were filled with greed. It drooled as it looked at Yun Chujio and the others. In its eyes, these four weaklings were like a free lunch. I'll test its strength first. If we can beat it, well, fight it head-on. If we can't, I'll hold it back. You guys run, then I'll catch up to you, Yun Chujio said to Feng Ming and the other two in a low voice. Feng Ming and the other two knew that Yun Chujio's head was full of bad ideas, and they were used to listening to Yun Chujio's arrangements, so they simply nodded and did not raise any objections. Yun Chujio giggled at the demonic wolf. Hey, little dog. Can you understand human language? Chapter 946, The Powerful Demon Wolf. The demon wolf understood human language. It roared angrily, fuck. You are the dog. Your whole family are dogs. When Yun Chujio found that the demon wolf could understand her, she immediately felt confident. As long as you can understand human language, I can fool around with you even if you are a demon wolf. Little puppy, we just ascended to the Tian Yuan continent and we met you. This must be fate. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The demon wolf looked at Yun Chujio with disdain, no wonder she was so weak. It turned out that she had just ascended. However, didn't they say that no one had ascended for thousands of years? Why did four of them suddenly ascend? And they were all so young. However, I don't care if you ascended or not. How dare you call me a dog? I will eat you all. Little puppy, you must have never eaten any demon beasts of the Azure Mystic Continent in your life, right? Don't you want to taste them? Yun Chujio continued to speak calmly. The demon wolf was slightly interested. Regardless of whether it was a human or a beast, they were all curious. In particular, the more intelligent a demon beast was, the more human it would be, and the more curious it would be. After seeing the change in the demon wolf's expression, Yun Chujio took out a wind-blade ox carcass from her storage ring and threw it toward the demon wolf. The demon wolf hesitated for a moment and took a small bite. When it realized that there was no poison in it, so it took a larger bite. It felt that the taste was average. The higher the level of the demon beast, the better it tasted. This wind-blade ox was too low level, so it did not taste very good, therefore, the demon wolf ate half of the leg and stopped eating. Yun Chujio calmly threw out a big piece of bloodthirsty sword shark meat. Little puppy, try the taste of the demon beast in the sea. I guess you haven't eaten demon beasts from the sea. After the demon wolf had tasted the taste of the wind-blade ox meat, it had lost interest in the demon beasts of the Azure Mystic Continent. However, when it heard that it was a sea beast, it immediately became curious. It had never eaten a demon beast from the sea, so it was curious on what it tasted like. After the demon wolf smelled that there was no poison, it took a bite. The bloodthirsty sword shark was a level 13 sea beast. Although its level was not as high as the demon wolf's, the spiritual energy contained in its meat was still relatively rich. Moreover, it was a sea beast that the demon wolf had never eaten before, therefore, the demon wolf swallowed a large piece of the bloodthirsty sword shark's meat in just a few bites. The demon wolf was not satisfied with the meal. It rolled its eyes and roared at Yun Chujio a few times. Yun Chujio quickly threw out another large piece of the bloodthirsty sword shark's meat. The demon wolf ate the entire piece and then roared at Yun Chujio a few times. Yun Chujio threw out another large piece of the bloodthirsty sword shark meat. The demon wolf ate 5 large pieces of the bloodthirsty sword shark meat in a row and then stopped. The sea beast meat was nothing much. Its eyes revealed a greedy light. It was ready to bite Yun Chujio and the others to death so that it could move on to the next meal. A faint light flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. "Little puppy, you still want to eat us? Let's see who laughs last." Just as the demon wolf was about to pounce on Yun Chujio and the other 3, Yun Chujio shouted, "Wait, little puppy, aren't you changing your face too quickly? As the saying goes, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You've eaten so many of my things, yet you still want to eat us. Don't you have a dog's face?" The demon wolf howled in anger, "I'm not a dog, I'm a wolf. I will devour you for that insult." The demon wolf opened its mouth and hundreds of wind blades flew towards Yun Chujio and the other 3. Feng Ming and the other 2 were far away, so they easily dodged the wind blades. Although Yun Chujio was not injured, she was left in a difficult position. She was in awe. The demon beasts of the Tian Yuan continent were shockingly powerful. It seemed that they were indeed the weakest beings in the Tian Yuan continent. Chapter 947, Good Women Don't Fight Dogs. When the demon wolf saw that Yun Chujio had dodged its wind blades, a trace of surprise flashed in its eyes. It thought that Yun Chujio was so weak that she could be killed with one move, but it did not expect that she had dodged all the blades. The demon wolf opened its mouth again, and hundreds of wind blades shot out again. However, this time, they were all aimed at Yun Chujio alone. It hated Yun Chujio so much when she called it a dog. It was a disgrace to a wolf to be treated like a dog. Yun Chujio relied on her agility and defensive spirit tools to dodge the demon wolf's attack. Before the demon wolf could launch another attack, Yun Chujio waved her left and right hands repeatedly, and a few purple lightning bolts struck the demon wolf's face. The demon wolf jumped to the side and dodged Yun Chujio's attack. The demon wolf was shocked. It was a heavenly thunder root spirit. No wonder she had ascended to the Tian Yuan continent at such a young age. Although the demon wolf was a little surprised, it did not take it to heart. Although this little girl had a heavenly thunder root spirit, her level was too low. Even if it was struck by her, it would not cause too much damage. Today, these people were fated to be its dinner. Suddenly, Yun Chujio shouted, "Run!" Feng Ming and the other 2 turned around and began to run. The demon wolf looked at them with contempt and thought, "I will kill that little girl first and then go after the other 3. They will not be able to run far." The demon wolf continued to attack Yun Chujio while coming up with its own plan. After Yun Chujio barely dodged its attacks, she continued to attack the demon wolf with lightning. The demon wolf was very disdainful. Its body was strong and it only needed to dodge to avoid appearing weak. Such weak lightning was not a big deal to it. "Stupid girl, accept your death." Yun Chujio barely managed to hold on for less than 15 minutes. The defensive spiritual tool on her body cracked and shattered into more than 10 pieces, which left her barely injured. At that moment, the demon wolf spat out hundreds of wind blades again. While Yun Chujio dodged, she threw a big sack at the demon wolf and ran away. The big sack was cut into pieces by the wind blades, and the chili inside immediately scattered in all directions. Yun Chujio was mentally prepared. She ran while holding her breath, while the demon wolf was in trouble. No matter how high its rank was, it could not stand the pungent smell. It choked until tears flowed down its face, and it sneezed continuously. What annoyed it most was that the little girl's arrogant voice came from afar. "Little puppy, a good woman doesn't fight with dogs. Goodbye." The demon wolf was so angry that its eyes turned red. It also choked from the chili but still chased after Yun Chujio. Feng Ming and the other two were worried about Yun Chujio, so they did not run too far. When they saw Yun Chujio's figure approaching, they continued running with all their strength. Although the four of them used all their strength, in less than an hour, the demon wolf gradually closed the distance. It roared as it chased them. There were also some demonic beasts below level 14 in that desert. Initially, when they saw Yun Chujio and the others, they wanted to attack them. However, when they heard the demonic wolf's furious howl, they immediately ran away with their tails tucked between their legs. "Junior sister Little Jill, we can't escape like this. There's nothing in this desert except sand. There's no place to hide even if we want to," Feng Ming said while panting heavily. Don't worry. Let's hold on for a while longer. I'll have a way to deal with it." A trace of cunning flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. Feng Ming and the other two were puzzled. Junior sister Jiu was not bragging, right? That demon wolf's strength was so monstrous, what method could she have to deal with it? If she had a plan, would she still have to escape in such a sorry state? At that moment, the demon wolf behind them had already caught up. It roared at the four people. Then, it saw that the little girl had not run anymore. She stopped and turned her head to look at it with a smile. Chapter 948, The Demon Wolf Who Died with a Grievance. The demon wolf was stunned. Why did this little girl stop running? She was even smiling at me. Is she crazy? Little puppy, I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise, if you anger me, things won't end well for you. I'm very cruel. Yun Chujio hugged her shoulders and said smugly. The demon wolf almost laughed out of anger. This little girl was most likely suffering from hysteria. She was having a seizure. The demon wolf snorted in disdain and opened his mouth, shooting hundreds of wind blades at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio smiled coldly and summoned 5 immortal swords, stabbing them at the demon wolf's eyes, ears, and nose. The demon wolf was shocked. Fuck. This little girl was very strange. It was fine if she had a heavenly thunder root spirit, but how could she command 5 flying swords at the same time? Even a spirit saint could not do it. How could a weak little chicken at the first level of the spirit sect have such a strong spiritual sense? The demon wolf did not dare to be negligent. Although its body was strong, the parts that were targeted by the 5 immortal swords were the most vulnerable parts of its body. It had to dodge them. Yun Chujio relied on the 5 immortal swords to hold on for less than 15 minutes. More than a dozen of the defensive spirit tools on Yun Chujio's body cracked and shattered, which left her barely injured. The demon wolf's eyes flashed with pride. The little girl could not hold on for much longer. Although she was a little strange, she was still weak. She should just die. Unexpectedly, the little girl said faintly, "It's almost time." Little puppy, don't you feel that there's something wrong? The demon wolf was stunned. It did not know what Yun Chujio meant, but it immediately knew because it realized that its spiritual power was rapidly flowing away. This must be because she had done something to the demon beast meat just now. Damn it! It had to end the battle as soon as possible and try to kill these 4 people before its spiritual power disappeared. The demon wolf went berserk. At that time, Yun Chujio let Feng Ming and the other 2 join the battle, and the 4 people began to besiege the demon wolf. Although the spiritual power of Feng Ming and the other 2 was not yet stable, they were still at the first level of the spirit sect. In addition to the decrease in the spiritual power of the demon wolf, the four people barely lasted another 15 minutes with the demon wolf. Fortunately, the drug took effect, and the spiritual power of the demon wolf became weaker and weaker. The four of them finally had the upper hand. An hour later, the demon wolf was finally killed by the four of them. It never thought that it would be killed by four weak chickens at the first level of the spirit sect. It did not even fully close its eyes until it died. Yun Chujiu put the corpse of the demon wolf into the spiritual beast bag and then said to Feng Ming and the other three, "The smell of blood here is too strong. It would be bad if other demon beasts were attracted. Let's leave this place quickly." The group went in the opposite direction from where the wolf came from. They ran dozens of miles away in one breath and then collapsed on the ground, panting heavily. The four people's hearts were covered with a layer of shadow. That demonic wolf should not be considered a high-level demonic beast in the Tianyuan continent, but even such a low-level demonic beast had reduced the four of them to such a sorry state. If it had not been for its lack of vigilance and accidentally eating the soul-devouring powder, they would probably be in deep trouble. The desert was so vast that there was no end to it. They did not know what other demon beasts they would encounter. They would not die here, would they? The weather in the desert was very hot. The sun scorched them above their heads. Yun Chujiu had the strange grass secrete 3 drops of refreshing beads and handed them to Feng Ming and the other two. The three of them miraculously discovered that with those beads, their bodies had become cooler. The four of them rested for a moment and ate some food before continuing on their journey. They tried their best to travel more during the day, but they absolutely could not travel at night. At night, it was when the demon beasts run amok. Chapter 949, Wolf Pack. The next half-day went smoothly. Although they encountered a few demonic beasts, they were all below level 14 and did not pose a threat to the four of them. However, Yun Chujiu was very uneasy. Wolves had always lived in groups. Today, they only encountered one demon wolf at noon. It was unusual. Either that demonic wolf was a lone wolf that was driven out by the wolf pack, or it was sent out to look for food. If it was the former, it would be easier to deal with it. If it was the latter, it would be bad. The wolf's desire for revenge was extremely strong. If they were targeted by the wolf pack, they would most likely be in deep trouble. At night, everyone found a slightly raised sand dune. They lit a bonfire at the back and took turns to be on guard. They began to rest. At midnight, Feng Ming, who was in charge of the guard, woke up Yun Chujiu and the other two in fear. Yun Chujiu looked in the direction that Feng Ming pointed to and saw several dark blue eyes staring at them fiercely. Only when they got closer did she realize that there were 15 demon wolves. 3 words flashed across their minds. They were dead for sure. Just one demon wolf in the morning had taken everything they had to kill it. Now that there were 15 of them, how could they survive? Yun Chujiu could not help but smile bitterly. What she feared had come true. One of them could be killed with a little trickery. Now that 15 of them had come at once, there was nothing she could do no matter how hard she tried. Now, she had no other choice but to fight them head-on. Yun Chujiu observed for a moment. There was a wolf in the southeast corner that was slightly smaller in size. It should be the one with the weakest spiritual power. She could only try to find a breakthrough point there and then run away. Yun Chujiu whispered her plan to Feng Ming and the other two. After Feng Ming and the other two heard it, the 4 of them immediately trembled, looking like they were scared out of their wits. The demon wolf pack howled. These 4 humans were too timid. They were already so scared before they even attacked. They were too weak. Just as the demon wolf pack was feeling proud, Yun Chujiu and the other 3 suddenly attacked the demon wolf in the southeast corner. The demon wolf was the youngest and was laughing at the humans along with the other demon wolves. They did not expect Yun Chujio and the other three to suddenly attack it. When it saw several spiritual attacks coming towards it, it subconsciously dodged to the side. Yun Chujio and the others immediately jumped through the gap and ran for their lives. Yun Chujio threw out the demon beasts' corpses as she ran, hoping she could delay them for a while. She did not expect the demon wolves to be so cunning. They left 2 demon wolves to guard the corpses, while the other demon wolves continued to pursue Yun Chujio and the others. These demon wolves had always lived in the desert. Their running speed was much faster than Yun Chujio and the other 3. The wolves soon caught up to them. Yun Chujio used the same trick again. She threw a few sacks of chili and pepper noodles. Although she initially distracted a few demon wolves, they soon stopped falling for her tricks. Yun Chujio and the other 3 were once again encircled by the wolf pack. Yun Chujio had already used up all her dirty tricks. The 4 of them could only fight head-on. Yun Chujio also released Little Black Bird, Little Black Rat, and Little Red. They engaged in a chaotic battle with the pack of demon wolves. Whether it was in terms of numbers or strength, there was a huge gap between the 2 sides. Soon, Feng Ming and the other 2 were injured, and the demon wolves became even more rabid when they smelled fresh blood. Yun Chujio threw a few bottles of heaven-grade blood coagulation pills and exploding spirit pills to Feng Ming and the other 2. After the 3 of them consumed them, they barely managed to hold on. 15 minutes later, Feng Ming and the other 2 had already fallen to the ground with serious injuries. The demon wolf pounced on them and was about to bite them when Yun Chujio suddenly remembered that there was a protective array in her storage ring. She quickly activated the protective array. Chapter 950, The Black Bead That Awaited Death. What she did not expect was that the protective array that could be considered a life-saving method in the Azure Mystic Continent was broken through by the demon wolves in less than half an hour. Fortunately, Yun Chujio obtained a few protective arrays and quickly activated them one by one. Yun Chujio took advantage of the gap in the fighting to think of a way through their predicament. No matter what, she could not just accept her fate. She had to think of a way to escape. However, the more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that there was no way to survive. She had already used all the methods that she could. The Great Void Mirror could only produce demon beasts below level 9. They were too weak, so it would be useless. Under the pressure of those demon wolves, they would immediately collapse to the ground. It would not be of any use at all. Furry had a limited number of sticky silk nets. Moreover, this was a sandy land, so the sticky silk nets would not be of much use. There were some poisonous pills, but these demonic wolves were very shrewd. They would hold their breath when she raised her hand, and it was of no use at all. Could it be that they could only await their deaths? Little Mirror, can you let us enter the Great Void Mystic Realm? Yun Chujio asked the Great Void Mirror with her consciousness. The Great Void Mirror swayed, and Yun Chujio sighed. As expected, it still could not do it. Only the strange grass in her dantian could be of some use. The other 2 were completely useless. The Great Void Mirror could at least provide some low-level demon beasts and spiritual herbs. Only that damn black bead, other than eating, could do nothing else. It was a fucking glutton. The black bead seemed to have sensed Yun Chujio's resentment, and it trembled with pride, showing off its power. Yun Chujio was so angry that she cursed, "Fuck. Glass ball, don't be so proud. If I die, you can eat dirt in this desert." The black bead trembled indifferently as if it had nothing to do with Yun Chujio's impending death. Yun Chujio was so angry that she almost hit the wall. She thought that if she provoked it, the black bead would burst out with some mysterious power. She did not expect it to be a good-for-nothing, just waiting to die. She was so angry that she almost died from frustration. At the critical moment, she could not count on any of them. What should she do? At that time, Yun Chujio only had the last protective disc in her hand. She was not willing to use it immediately and was prepared to only use it at the critical moment. After a short rest, Feng Ming and the other two had recovered some of their physical strength and spiritual power. The four of them once again started to fight with the demon wolf pack. Although the four of them and two beasts were fighting with their lives, the difference in strength was too great. Little Black Rat and Little Red were the first to fall to the ground. Yun Chujio had no choice but to put the two of them into her spirit beast bag. Soon after, Feng Ming and the other two fell to the ground with injuries even more serious than the previous time. The three of them felt that they were really done for. There was no way for them to survive. Yun Chujio was also cut by the demon wolf's wind blades. However, she had the strange grass healing and she fared slightly better than Feng Ming and the others. However, she could only parry the attacks and did not have the strength to fight back. Junior sister Little Jiu, just leave us. You can escape by yourself. There might be a chance for you to survive. Feng Ming screamed. Junior sister Little Jiu was agile. Without the three of them holding her back, she might be able to escape. Yun Chujio ignored him and continued to do her best to protect Feng Ming and the other two. The Wolf King was a little impatient. It thought that the four weaklings would be taken down soon, but they had been delayed repeatedly. It was embarrassing. The Wolf King roared angrily and the demon wolf pack intensified their attacks. Yun Chujio could not hold on any longer. A demon wolf opened its bloody mouth and was about to bite Yun Chujio's left leg. Fortunately, the little black bird immediately cursed. The demon wolf staggered and was stabbed in the eyes by Yun Chujio's immortal sword. Only then did it retreat. At the critical moment of life and death, the little black bird shouted, "Master, little black bird," and the others said that they want to help you take care of the pack of wolves. Chapter 951, What Were Those Things? Yun Chujio quickly activated the last protective disc and took out an ancient jade vase from her spirit beast pouch. The four remnant soul lords floated out of the ancient jade vase. Feng Ming and the other two were dumbfounded when they saw this. Oh my god, weren't these remnant souls from the ancient sword tomb? How did they end up with junior sister Little Jiu? Aren't you guys worn out after leaving the ancient jade vase? How are you going to help me? Yun Chujio asked in puzzlement. After Fu Ao and the other three condensed their bodies, they smiled bitterly and said, "Little girl, we are now on the same boat. It's night now so the Yin Qi is stronger. We can hold on for a while longer." Yun Chujio had no alternative. She could only take out the various ancient jade vases from the spirit beast pouch and uncorked the bottles one by one. Thousands of remnant souls floated out and quickly condensed into human form. Those demon wolves were all dumbfounded. Damn! What were those things? Remnant souls. Remnant souls. Didn't this thing summon heavenly thunder? Why did the little girl have so many remnant souls too? This doesn't make sense. Time was tight. Yun Chujio waved her hands and thousands of remnant souls rushed towards the demon wolf pack. The demon wolf pack did not wait to fight and already intended to retreat. They had never fought with these things before, not to mention that there were so many of them. Although their spiritual power was not as high as ours, those things were fleeting and they really couldn't attack. The Wolf King roared a few times, and the wolf pack ran away without fighting. Yun Chujio did not dare delay and quickly led the remnant souls back into the ancient jade vase, and then put the ancient jade vase into the spirit beast pouch. Senior brother Feng Ming, you guys clean up the blood on your bodies. We have to leave this place immediately. The wolf pack is only intimidated, and they will likely catch up again. Although Feng Ming and the other two had many questions, they knew that it was not the time to ask them. After swallowing the pill, they used the cleaning spell and the four of them resumed running. What the four of them did not notice was that some Wu Yun had started to gather in the distance and drifted towards them. However, with the cover of the night and the four of them being in a hurry to escape, they did not notice. The four of them ran for more than 2 hours. When they saw that no demon wolves had not chased them, they panted heavily and collapsed on the ground. At that moment, they realized how weak they were. Originally, the four of them were considered to be at the top of the tower in the Azure Mystic continent. They did not expect that they would end up at the bottom of the food chain in the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio was still slightly better. She had already gotten used to it. However, it was difficult for Feng Ming and the other two to get used to the disparity in strength in their hearts. Although Yun Chujio's words had prepared them mentally when they met, their hearts were still a little uncomfortable, so they could only slowly get used to it. Junior sister Little Jiu, aren't those remnant souls from the ancient sword tomb? Feng Ming asked curiously. Yun Chujio nodded. Yes, I was the one who brought them out. Senior brothers, regardless of whether it's the pills I gave you or the remnant souls, you must keep it a secret. Otherwise, it will bring us trouble. Junior sister Little Jiu, don't worry. We know what to do. Feng Ming and the other two nodded solemnly. Even if Yun Chujio did not remind them, they knew what to say and what not to say. Just as the four of them were talking, the roar of a beast came from afar again. It was different from a wolf's howl from before. This time, it was a tiger's howl. The four of them could not help but smile bitterly. They had just left the wolf's den and entered a tiger's den. The four people had no chance to escape because 10 giant tigers had already surrounded them. Chapter 952, Whose subordinates are you? The pressure from these demon tigers was even stronger than the demon wolves from before. Yun Chujio's heart was once again covered with a layer of doubt. The remnant souls had just come out to chase off the wolves, and their bodies had already become increasingly faint. If she released them again, some of the weak souls would probably dissipate. She had already brought them out of the ancient sword tomb. If she allowed them to lose their lives just to save her, she would feel uneasy. The 10 demon tigers slowly drew closer. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and decided to fool them for a while. At the very least, it would give Feng Ming and the other two some time to recover, hence, she smiled coldly at the Tiger King. Little kitten, the little puppy did not dare to do anything to us. Are you going to take the risk? The Tiger King looked around in confusion. Little kitten. Where did this cat come from in the desert? Suddenly, it reacted. Fuck. This little girl was talking about me. Was little puppy referring to the demon wolf king from before? The Tiger King glared at Yun Chujio fiercely and opened its bloody mouth to roar. Yun Chujio had an unimpressed expression and she did not even retreat, her tone was still cold. You guys should be smarter than those puppies, right? After all, your levels are higher than theirs. The Tiger King arrogantly raised its head and thought, what nonsense. Naturally, we're much smarter than those stupid wolves. If that's the case, why are you still surrounding us? We don't need bodyguards, why aren't you leaving yet? Yun Chujio waved her hands at the group of tigers. The group of tigers subconsciously took a few steps back. The Tiger King was so angry that he roared twice, fuck, are you my subordinates or this stinky girl's? She said to retreat and you guys just retreated? A few demon tigers dejectedly took a few more steps forward and glared fiercely at Yun Chujio. It was all because of this stinky girl that they were fooled. The Tiger King's big eyeballs rolled around, these four humans had indeed run over from the demon wolf's territory. Logically speaking, they were weak, so how did they escape? Could there be something fishy? Yun Chujio saw that the Tiger King was a little suspicious, she then said, little kitten, we don't interfere with each other's business. We are just passing by, there is no conflict at all. If you let us go, I will not treat you unfairly. I will give you some demon beast meat, I guarantee that you will be full. It is better than eating the four of us skinny people, right? The Tiger King rolled his eyes, wondering if the demon wolves earlier was bought over by the little girl's demon beast meats. TCH. How stupid of them. The demon beast meat naturally would be eaten, and the 4 humans would then be dessert. The Tiger King glanced at Yun Chujio and then roared a few times. Yun Chujio quickly took out a few large pieces of the bloodthirsty sword shark's meat. She did not do anything this time because this Tiger King was much smarter than the lone wolf. She did not want to make things worse. These demon tigers had never eaten the flesh of sea beasts before. When they ate it out of the blue, they felt that the taste was very strange, so they fought each other for a chance to eat more. However, the Tiger King was very vigilant. He kept 2 tigers watching Yun Chujio and the others, afraid that they would take the opportunity to escape. Although there was a lot of bloodthirsty sword shark meat, it was not enough to feed all the demon tigers. Soon, it was almost gone. When Yun Chujio saw that Feng Ming and the other 2 had almost recovered, she gave them a look and the 4 of them suddenly ran forward. The 2 demon tigers on guard had watched the other demon tigers eat and did not pay attention to Yun Chujio and the other 2 when they escaped. The Tiger King was so angry that he roared and mauled the 2 careless tigers. Then, he led his subordinates in pursuit of the 4. Chapter 953, Such Wickedness. Yun Chujio wanted to cry, but no tears came out. After ascending, people would go shopping and enjoy the scenery. Instead, she was put in life-or-death situations one after the other. The Tiger King roared from behind. It had always thought of itself as smart, but today, it was deceived by a little girl. One could imagine how embarrassed and angry it was. In just 15 minutes, Yun Chujio and the other 3 were once again surrounded by the group of tigers. Junior sister Little Jiu, I'm afraid we really can't escape now, Gung Yi said while panting. They could barely stand, let alone fight a group of tigers. Yun Chujio's physical strength was slightly better than theirs, but she had no idea how to escape at all. The chili and pepper noodles were already used to deal with the demon wolf just now, and the remaining items she had were of no use. This time, there was no way out. The Tiger King approached Yun Chujio step by step. Fuck, it had to eat this little girl first. It was enraged at being lied to so casually. Just as Yun Chujio was about to summon her 5 immortal swords to fight the Tiger King to the death, a bolt of purple lightning as thick as an adult's arm suddenly flew from the thick clouds in the sky, heading straight for Yun Chujio. The Tiger King was almost scared to death. With a whoosh, it retreated hundreds of feet away. The other demon tigers also dodged it. This heavenly lightning was no joke. Once it struck the body, it would either kill or injure it. Yun Chujio's heart was filled with joy. The lightning in the Tianyuan continent was much cuter than the lightning in the Azure Mystic continent. It came at the right time. Ha ha ha. The Tiger King saw that not only did Yun Chujio not dodge, but she was also laughing foolishly. He thought to himself, could this little girl have lost her mind from being scared silly? This strike would at least take away half of her life. At that time, it would not be too late to eat her. However, something that made it dumbfounded happened. Although the lightning struck the little girl's body, nothing happened to her. Moreover, she seemed to be very comfortable. How was this possible? The Tiger King blinked his eyes with great effort. At the time, a second bolt of heavenly lightning also fell from the clouds. It still struck the little girl. The little girl still did not dodge and happily allowed the heavenly lightning to hit her repeatedly. Just as the Tiger King was in a daze, he saw the little girl give a mischievous smile. Then, she happily jumped towards him. The Tiger King immediately understood what Yun Chujio meant and was so angry that he almost fainted. This damn little girl was really wicked. She was planning to let the heavenly lightning strike it to death. It was too wicked. The Tiger King was so scared that he repeatedly dodged. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, "Little kitten, don't run. Didn't you want to eat me? Come and eat me now." The Tiger King wanted to kill this damn girl with a swipe of its claw. However, when it saw the lightning and the heavenly power contained in it, it retreated hundreds of feet with its tail tucked between its legs. Yun Chuzhou did not chase after it. Instead, she glanced at the other demon tigers with ill intentions. Those demon tigers were so scared that they did not bother surrounding Yun Chuzhou and the other three. They also fled alongside the Tiger King. Yun Chuzhou hooked her finger at the Tiger King. "Little kitten, come on. There won't be such a free meal like us after this. If you don't eat me, I will leave." The Tiger King was so angry that it howled. It thought to itself, "Don't be so smug. After the lightning stops, I will chase after you and eat you." Yun Chuzhou naturally understood this point. When Feng Ming and the other two recovered a little, she would let them run as far as possible. She would use the power of lightning to discourage the group of tigers from giving chase. At that moment, Wu Yun in the sky was also dumbfounded. Fuck! When did such a monster appear in the Tianyuan continent? It had already struck her 7 or 8 times, but why was she completely fine? Chapter 954, The little beauty had turned bald. The Wu Yun in the sky had never met such a strange person. Even if some other mighty figures could withstand several bolts of lightning, they should be sitting cross-legged and meditating, as if they were facing a great enemy. When had it ever met a strange one who was not afraid but was jumping around happily? The Wu Yun was getting a little competitive. It had to protect the dignity of their heavenly lightning. No matter what, it had to kill this scourge today. Therefore, the thunder kept on rumbling. One after another, heavenly lightning bolts struck down towards Yun Chuzhou. Although the heavenly lightning was much thicker than the heavenly lightning in the Azure Mystic Continent, it did not matter to Yun Chuzhou. The more lightning struck, the better. It was easier to scare the tigers. The Tiger King and its underlings were indeed scared silly. Oh my God! Was this little girl human? Even a spirit paragon could not withstand so many heavenly lightning bolts. Moreover, she was so happy as if she had struck gold. It was too scary for the tigers. Although the Tiger King was unwilling to leave, the Wu Yun seemed like it would not stop until the little girl was struck to death. It was terrified of what might happen if it stayed there. Oh my God, it was better for them to leave while they could. If that Wu Yun could not kill the little girl, it would be bad if it got frustrated and targeted the tigers instead. Therefore, the Tiger King commanded its underlings to escape and ran away with its tail between its legs. When Yun Chuzhou saw that the Tiger King had left, she calmed down and ran after Feng Ming and the other two. The Wu Yun in the sky had misunderstood. It had thought that Yun Chuzhou was afraid of it and followed Yun Chuzhou closely. Yun Chuzhou was overjoyed. The Wu Yun in the Tianyuan continent was really cute. It was like a free bodyguard. With the protection of the heavenly lightning, which demon beast would dare to provoke her? Humph! The Wu Yun in the sky did not know what Yun Chuzhou was planning. If it knew, it would probably die from anger. Feng Ming and the other two heard the Wu Yun approaching. They turned around and saw Yun Chuzhou had winked at them, signaling them to run. Feng Ming and the other two felt as if 100 divine beasts were chasing them. The only one who could abuse the Wu Yun like this was junior sister Little Jiu, the little devil. When the demon beasts in the desert heard the endless thunder, they were so scared that they hid in their nests, afraid that they would be struck by the heavenly lightning. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou and the rest did not encounter any demon beasts. However, they did not dare to be careless. Who knew when the heavenly lightning would stop striking? They had to take this good opportunity to leave the desert as soon as possible. The 4 of them ran as fast as they could. The more they did so, the more the Wu Yun in the sky felt that Yun Chuzhou was afraid. In addition, they were not convinced, so they continued to strike from the second half of the night until the sky was bright. Yun Chujio saw the green grass in front of her from afar. She was delighted. It seemed that they were about to leave the desert. It would be safe if they walked on grass again. The thunder gradually became more and more sparse, and the lightning bolts became thinner and thinner. The Wu Yun in the sky eventually floated away. However, it grew to hate Yun Chujio in its heart. That damn scourge. If there was a next time, she would be struck to death. Feng Ming and the other two surrounded her happily. Little Jiu, are you okay? Yun Chujio touched her head and said with a bitter face, I'm fine except for one thing. I forgot to tie my handkerchief to my head in my panic earlier. Now a little beauty has become bald. Feng Ming and the other two looked at Yun Chujio's bald head and laughed. Then, they quickly held back their laughter, afraid that Yun Chujio would take revenge on them. Like the little black bird, little Jiu was a vengeful person. Chapter 955, Anyone can see that you are beautiful. Yun Chujio glared at them. After applying the hair growth pill on her head, she took out a handkerchief and tied it to her head. She still had two small tails behind her, which were trembling. Junior sister little Jiu, you are now a natural beauty. You still look like a little beauty this way, Feng Ming said in a flattering manner. Shi Xian also quickly said, yes, junior sister little Jiu. Some people say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but for a peerless beauty like you, anyone can see you are naturally beautiful. Yun Chujio touched her chin. Senior brother Shi Xian, why does this word sound so familiar? It sounds like something I told seventh sister. How did you know? Shi Xian laughed dryly. It's a coincidence. Pure coincidence. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Let's rest for a while, then continue on our journey. Well, have a good rest when we reach the town. Feng Ming and the other two nodded. After eating some pills, they ate what food they had and began to meditate on the spot to rest. At that moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard in the distance. The laughter of young men and women could also be heard. Yun Chujio's heart was filled with a mix of joy and worry. Seeing a cultivator meant that this place should not be far from the town. However, she did not know what kind of person they were. It was common for cultivators to kill and steal treasures from others. The four of them had such weak spiritual energy too, so it was inevitable that they would be bullied. Yun Chujio decided to remain still and did not move. She glanced at the person from the corner of her eyes. About 10 people walked over from the distance. Men and women were chatted and laughed. The atmosphere was very harmonious. The men were handsome while the women were charming. They were all good-looking. The clothes they wore were not uniform, so they should not be from the same faction. They should only be on good terms with each other. That was why they came out to train together. At that moment, those people also saw Yun Chujio and the other three. Feng Ming and the other two were also very outstanding. Although Yun Chujio did not have hair, her skin was as white as snow. Her exquisite facial features also made people's eyes light up. However, when they realized that the four of them were only at the first level of the spirit sect, immediately, they no longer had any intention of befriending them. A few of them even curled their lips and said with a sneer, you have grown a good bag of skin for nothing. You four good-for-nothings. If Feng Ming and the other two had heard someone say this in the past, they would have confronted them. However, Yun Chujio had already given them some food for thought. Therefore, although they felt indignant in their hearts, they did not say anything and continued to meditate and rest. Not only is their spiritual power bad, their ears are not working well. TSK, how pitiful. TSK. What do you mean your ears are not working well? This is called being sensible, they are smart. If they dare provoke us, I will cripple them. Exactly, such trash can be beaten with a single finger. However, in front of us is the flaming desert. Could it be that these 4 people want to enter the flaming desert? Forget it. With trash like them, they still want to enter the flaming desert. They should be hunting low-level demonic beasts at the edge of the desert. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. It seemed that there were quite a number of people who thought highly of themselves wherever they went. They could say whatever they wanted as long as they did not provoke them. Otherwise, do not think that I, Yun Chujio, would dare to kill you just because you have high spiritual power. At this time, an arrogant voice said, "Hey! Since the 4 of you have already been here, have you seen the purple heavenly lightning?" Yun Chujio's heart moved. Could it be that these people came for the purple heavenly lightning? Could it be that they thought that some heavenly treasure had appeared? Yun Chujio said indifferently, "We have seen it. It kept going on for several hours and it was very scary. We were so scared until our legs went soft, so we sat down to rest." Chapter 956, Extraordinary Talents. When those people heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately burst into laughter. They were really cowardly. They were frightened by the heavenly lightning until their legs went soft. Ha ha ha. Feng Ming and the other 2 were very angry in their hearts. However, when they saw that Yun Chujio's expression was still indifferent and was not affected by these sneers, the 3 of them also calmed down and continued to meditate with their eyes closed. "Hey, let me ask you, did anything strange happen?" asked a girl in red. There was indeed something strange. Some demon beasts were fighting with each other, and it was hard to see them from afar. It seemed that a group of demon wolves and a group of demon tigers were fighting until the sky was dark. Later, the lightning kept striking, and they all dispersed. TCH. One look and you can tell that they are country bumpkins who have never seen the world. Demon wolves and demon tigers. Those are wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers. I don't know where these 4 country bumpkins came from. A man said with disdain. Oh, so it's wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers. I didn't know. Thank you for your advice. Yun Chujio thanked him indifferently. That person never expected that Yun Chujio would not only not be angry, but also thank him. He was stunned for a moment and then muttered, "You're crazy." The girl in red and one of the men in white said, "Senior Liu, it seems that there are indeed natural treasures there. Otherwise, those wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers would not fight so fiercely for them. There is no need for us to go in. Those wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers are of a much higher level than us. If we meet them, I'm afraid we will be doomed." Junior sister Su Lian, what you said makes sense. Since there's no need to go in, let's go back. You should hurry up and prepare for the entrance test. Yes, junior sister Su Lian, there's no suspense at all about you passing the entrance test. With your talent and senior sister In Xinlian's care, you'll definitely be in the top 100 of the roll of prodigies in the future. TSK. Watch your tongue. Junior sister Su Lian is so outstanding, why would she need senior sister In Xinlian's help? That's right. Our junior sister Su Lian is only 19 years old, but she's already at the 5th layer of the spirit sect. With such outstanding talent, not to mention the top 100 of the roll of prodigies, it's even possible for her to be in the top 10. The red-dressed girl's face was full of pride, but she concealed it and said, Seniors, you're flattering me. How can my talent be considered outstanding? Only those like His Excellency and young Master Wuji are called outstanding talents. Yun Chujio was sensitive enough to detect a hint of shyness in the girl's words, damn it. Little bitch, it's fine if you covet Wu Jia's head, but if you dare to have plans to go after my Prince Charming, I won't let you off. How dare you snatch my man? I'll torture you to death. His Excellency and young Master Wuji are not people our generation can compare to. I heard that when they were studying at Tianyuan Academy, the total points of the two of them added together was more than the total points of the others. What? The two of them entered the academy at the age of 14. Normally, they would need 5 years to graduate, but the two of them graduated in just 3 years. Moreover, up until now, many records have been maintained by the two of them. Our headmaster said that these two people are geniuses that appear once in 10,000 years. Yes, we can only look up to such people. However, you girls are still better off. At least you can still marry them. We don't even have the chance to become their subordinates. Their subordinates are all secret guards who have been trained since they were young. Upon hearing the man's words, the few girls were all bashful, especially the girl in red. Her face was flushed red as she stamped her feet and said, "Senior, what nonsense are you talking about?" Chapter 957, Vigor City. Yun Chujio almost vomited. Damn it! She even pretended to be shy, how shameless. Feng Ming and the other two felt a little cold for some reason. The three of them looked at each other and saw that Yun Chujio's face was as calm as water. It was obvious that she was unhappy. The three of them suddenly realized that they were jealous. This person's jealousy was really infectious. He was a perfect match for that young Master D. Those people chatted and laughed for a while before leaving. Although Yun Chujio did not like them, she was relieved. If they fought, it would be really troublesome. The four of them were done resting. They happened to come across the route those people from earlier had used and successfully left the grassland. The moment they saw the main road, tears filled their eyes. Fuck. It was not easy. They almost died right after ascending. The voice transmission talisman in Yun Chujio's storage ring started to vibrate. Both in Feng's and Di Baiming's voice transmission talismans were going off repeatedly. The two of them must have been frantic. Yun Chujio decided to inform Feng when she found out the exact location of this place. Thus, she first replied to Di Baiming, "Prince Charming, the four of us have been teleported to the Flaming Desert. We have already left that place behind. Our current location is unknown. I will tell you later when I find out more." Very soon, Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. After Yun Chujio sent her divine sense in, she heard Di Baiming say a single word, "Okay." Yun Chujio pouted. This guy was still the same. Did he not know how to say a few more words? Although there were not many people on the road, there were still quite a number of them in the city. Yun Chujio took a rough look and found that some had lower spiritual power than her and the other three. However, they were either young or looked like they were poor. Those who wore slightly decent clothes had higher spiritual power than the four of them. Yun Chujio analyzed the words of those people before. Those people praised that person called Su Lian. She was considered a genius at the 5th level of the spirit sect at the age of 19. Based on this deduction, a normal 19-year-old should be around the 3rd level of the spirit sect. She was not too useless, however. Senior brother Feng Ming and the other two were all in their early 20s. In that way, they were already behind. Yun Chujio saw a kind-looking old man and quickly ran over to ask for directions with a smile. "Old uncle, may I ask how to get to the nearest town?" The old man saw that Yun Chujio had a good attitude and she was still a little girl, so he patiently pointed the way. It turned out that there was a Vigor City less than 30 miles away from here, and it was less than 20 miles away from the Tianyuan Academy. Many people who came to participate in the entrance exam would stay in Vigor City for a while. After Yun Chujio thanked the old man, she returned to Feng Ming and the other two, and said with a smile, "It's a coincidence. The Tianyuan Academy is not far ahead." Yun Chujio repeated what the old man said, and Feng Ming and the other two were also very excited. However, a worried expression immediately appeared on their faces. "Junior sister Little Jiu, we are so weak now, and the Tianyuan Academy is also the best in the Tianyuan continent. I'm afraid that we won't be able to get in. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. Don't try to make others look bad on us. There will always be a way when we reach the end of the road. Don't worry, with me around, we will be able to get in. For some reason, Feng Ming thought back to the time when Yun Chuzhou had insisted on taking the 6 places in the Spirit Radiance sect. His heart relaxed. Junior sister Little Jiu was full of schemes. She might really be able to get in. Chapter 958, Long Wind In. Let's go to stay in Vigor City and have a good rest. They'll send a message to Enfeng and ask him to help us ask about the registration and entrance test, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Feng Ming and the other 2 saw Yun Chuzhou's smile and felt relieved. They nodded and followed the old man's direction to Vigor City. Yun Chuzhou briefly explained the situation to Enfeng. Enfeng quickly sent a letter over. Miss Jiu, your subordinate will be able to arrive at Vigor City by tonight. You guys head towards the Long Wind Inn in Vigor City. That is the esteemed lord's property. I have already made the necessary arrangements. When you arrive there, shopkeeper Qi will arrange for your accommodation. Yun Chuzhou was very satisfied with Enfeng's efficiency. No wonder the pretty boy was so stingy with his words. It turned out that he was used to having such sensible subordinates. When could she have such reliable subordinates? It would be a relief knowing such people could take care of things for you so well. An hour later, the 4 of them saw a magnificent city. On the city gate, there were 2 large and powerful words, Vigor City. Yun Chuzhou found it somewhat familiar. Why did it feel like the handwriting of the Prince Charming? The 4 of them followed the flow of people into the city. After asking around, they found out that the Long Wind Inn was the largest in Vigor City. It was located in the center of Vigor City, and it had an eye-catching appearance. However, a random passerby reminded them, it is currently the Tianyuan Academy's entrance examination season, so all the inns in Vigor City are full. The Long Wind Inn is a symbol of one's status, and it has already been booked up long ago. I'm afraid that all of you will have wasted your time going there. That person still had one more thing to say, with your looks, it was obvious that you're not from a wealthy background. How could you possibly afford to stay at the Long Wind Inn? Yun Chuzhou pretended not to hear that. After thanking them, she brought Feng Ming and the other 2 to the Long Wind Inn. The Long Wind Inn was indeed very easy to find. Yun Chuzhou and the other 2 quickly saw a 3-story inn. With just one look, they could tell that it was much better than the surrounding buildings. Yun Chuzhou felt that this style was very suitable for the palace mistress. Could it be that this was the palace mistress' handiwork? Yun Chuzhou and the other 3 had just walked to the entrance of Long Wind Inn when they met the same people they met at the edge of the desert. One of the men sneered and said, "Country bumpkins, don't tell me you want to stay in Long Wind Inn. TSK. You overestimate yourselves. Do you know how many spirit stones a night the cheapest room in Long Wind Inn costs?" Yun Chuzhou did not seem to hear the disdain in his words and asked indifferently, "How many spirit stones a night?" The man curled his lips. "Even the cheapest room costs 10 high-grade spirit stones for a night. Can you afford it?" "Oh." Yun Chuzhou lifted her leg and walked inside. "Oh." What did "oh" mean? The man stretched out his arm and blocked Yun Chuzhou's path. What was that "oh" about? Do you have any spirit stones? Moreover, the rooms inside are all booked up now. Even if you have money or status, you can't book a room. That's right. Do you think that anyone can stay in this Long Wind Inn? This is the property of the Hall of Longevity. Those who have no status or face are not qualified to stay here. Yun Chuzhou secretly cursed in her heart. This Long Wind Inn was indeed in the style of the palace mistress. It only caters to people with status. Senior Brother Pai, perhaps they don't have any money on them. They are preparing to do odd jobs here. This little girl is pretty good at serving tea and pouring water for the guests. Get out of the way and let them in. A young man glanced at Yun Chujia's face with ill intentions. Although this little girl's figure had not grown, her skin and facial features were very exquisite. Chapter 959, Violent Beating. Yun Chujio shot a glance at the man who spoke. Very good, I will remember you. Let's meet at Tianyuan Academy and see how I will deal with you when the time comes. Following the man's words, the other people also started to jeer. At this moment, the red-clothed girl walked out. Although her clothes were still red, it was obvious that she had changed into another set. When she saw Yun Chujio and the others, she curled her lips. Then, she said to the waiter behind her, "Since when can anyone enter the Long Wind Inn? I remember that the palace mistress had said at the banquet that those who could enter the Long Wind Inn were either outstanding or influential figures. Could it be that the rules have changed now?" When the waiter heard the girl in red's words, he nodded and said humbly, "Miss Su Lian's words make sense. I'll drive these 4 people out right now. Not everyone can enter our Long Wind Inn." After the waiter finished speaking, when he arrived in front of Yun Chujio and the others, his expression immediately changed. "Our Long Wind Inn is already full. There's an inn with 100 low-grade spirit stones for 1 room in the north of the city. You'd better head over there. Leave quickly and don't disrupt our business. It's fine if we don't go in. Call your shopkeeper out. We have matters to discuss with him." Yun Chujio was so angry that she was amused. "I do not have anything else right now, but I do have plenty of spirit stones. Buying this Long Wind Inn would be easy." She was always despised by a shop's assistants. She had been used to it for a long time. "Tch. Our shopkeeper is busy with work every day. How would he have the time to see you poor people? Hurry up and scram, or else don't blame me for taking action." The waiter had always suffered the wrath of the customers. Finally, he had someone to vent his anger on. His words became more and more hostile. Yun Chujio smiled and waved at the waiter. "Come here. I have something to talk to you about." The waiter thought that Yun Chujio was going to bribe him with spirit stones, so he walked up to Yun Chujio and asked, "What's the matter?" As soon as he said, "the matter," Yun Chujio kicked the waiter's lower abdomen. The waiter was caught off guard, so he was kicked by Yun Chujio and fell on the stairs. Everyone was stunned. No one had expected that this little girl would make a move at the slightest disagreement. Did she know what she had just done? As the saying goes, one had to look at the owner before beating up a dog. This Long Wind Inn was the property of the Hall of Longevity. The guests who usually stayed here were either rich or noble, but they would only verbally scold these waiters. No one dared to make a move, for fear of offending the Hall of Longevity. Moreover, that waiter was on the 2nd level of the spirit sect, and this little girl was only on the 1st level of the spirit sect. How could he be kicked down? This waiter was too useless. The waiter was dumbfounded for a long time before he finally got up. He never dreamed that he would be beaten up by someone. And it was a piece of trash whose spiritual power was inferior to his. "Stinky girl, you dared to hit me. You don't want to live in the Tianyuan continent anymore, do you?" The waiter's face looked ferocious as he gnashed his teeth and said, "Humph. I'm hitting a snobbish person like you. The inn is a place that welcomes guests from all over. What right do you have to speak ill of us?" Yun Chujio said coldly. "You bitch. Alright, you're the one who attacked first. Don't say that I'm bullying trash like you." After saying that, the waiter raised his hand and was about to slap Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio dodged the waiter's palm. She then turned around and appeared behind the man. She kicked the man's back and the man flew toward the stall selling roasted spirit potatoes across the street. The man was scalded until he cried out in pain. Chapter 960, The Daughter of an Old Friend. When the crowd saw that the waiter was in such a sorry state, they did not think that Yunchujia's skills were extraordinary. They only felt that this waiter was too stupid to be fooled by a little girl at the first level of the spirit sect. The waiter flew into a rage out of humiliation. With a wave of his hand, hundreds of wind blades flew towards Yunchujio. Yunchujio nimbly dodged them, then stretched her neck and shouted, "Long Wind Inn is bullying people on the street. Long Wind Inn is looking down on people. Long Wind Inn is bullying the weak." The corners of Feng Ming and the other two's eyes twitched violently. "Junior sister Little Jiu, you seem to be slandering the property of your future in-laws. Is this good?" Yunchujio did not care about that. She stretched her neck and kept shouting. Soon, many people came over to watch. The waiter became even angrier from the humiliation. He had sent out countless wind blades, yet he could not even touch the corner of that smelly girl's clothes. How was this possible? At this moment, an angry shout came from inside the inn. "Lucky! Stop!" Yunchujio curled her lips. How could such a person be called lucky? It was more appropriate to call her the lucky one. When the waiter heard the voice, he stopped reluctantly. He glared at Yunchujio fiercely. "Shopkeeper, this little girl not only delayed our business, but also hurt people. You must help me make a decision. Miss Su Lien, you must help me prove it." The red-dressed girl looked at Yunchujio with disdain, then, she said, "That's right. The palace mistress once said that not everyone can stay in this Long Wind Inn. Lucky only chased her away after listening to my instructions. I didn't expect that she would hurt someone. She really lacks manners." Yunchujia's eyes darkened. She didn't care about anything else, but to say that she lacked manners was to indirectly insult her parents and her elders. That Su Lien was courting death. Yunchujio took a few steps forward. The red-dressed girl was stunned by Yunchujia's aura and could not help but take a few steps back. "Miss, please hold your tongue. You don't have the right to comment on whether I have a good or bad upbringing. If you have the leisure to do so, why don't you take care of yourself? If you say something hurtful so casually, I wonder how your upbringing was." Yunchujio stared into the red-dressed girl's eyes. She said coldly. The red-dressed girl felt a chill run down her spine. This girl only had the spiritual power of the first level of the spirit sect, but the coldness in her eyes made people feel as if she could kill her at any time. The red-dressed girl was stunned for a while, and then she shouted angrily out of embarrassment, "How dare you? Do you know who you are talking to? You better believe that I can kill you immediately." "I am not your father, why would I know who you are? Kill me. Just because you scolded me and I refuted you, you want to kill me? Although I don't know which sect you are from, to act so arrogantly is an embarrassment to your family." Yunchujio had never been a good-tempered person. She even dared to rebuke the palace mistress, so a red-dressed girl who appeared out of nowhere was nothing to her. The red-clothed girl had never been rebuked like this in her entire life. She was so angry that she nearly fainted. She stretched out her hand and was about to launch a spirit energy attack. At this moment, a deep voice said, "Miss Su Lien, this ninth young miss is the daughter of the palace mistress' old friend. Please, for the sake of the palace mistress, let this matter go." The red-clothed girl had never imagined that the manager of the Long Wind Inn would say such a thing. The daughter of the palace mistress' old friend? How could this poor trash be the daughter of the palace mistress' friend? Chapter 961, The straightforward Yunchujio. The red-dressed girl naturally did not dare to embarrass the palace mistress. She snorted coldly and said, "Shopkeeper Chi, if that's the case, then I won't lower myself to her level. If there's a next time, humph." The red-dressed girl glared fiercely at Yun Chujio before leaving under the escort of the crowd. The waiter was dumbfounded. He knew that not only had he been beaten up for nothing, he had also lost his job. Sure enough, Shopkeeper Chi looked at him. "Go to the accounting room to settle your wages. You are fired." The waiter did not dare to say a word. He slipped into the room to collect his wages and then left. Shopkeeper Chi bowed in neither servile nor overbearing manner. "Ninth Miss, the three young masters, please come in." Yun Chujio nodded. "Thank you." The four followed Shopkeeper Chi into the Long Wind Inn. The interior decoration was very luxurious. Shopkeeper Chi brought the four of them to a room in the backyard. After getting someone to serve them tea, he said, "Ninth Miss, Commander and Fong sent me a message an hour ago. I also reported to the palace mistress. Your identity was also made up by the palace mistress." Yun Chujio pursed her lips in her heart. This old man kept referring to me, yet he did not mention me as his subordinate. He even specially told her to report to the palace mistress. An identity made up by the palace mistress? This was telling her that he worked for the palace mistress. Shopkeeper Chi, regardless of whether you are Brother Baiming's man or the palace mistress man, you are still a member of the Hall of Longevity. A fellow like Lucky from before is really TSK, lowering the reputation of the Long Wind Inn. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Shopkeeper Chi had never thought that Yun Chujio would lay things out like that immediately. All the girls he met had to think twice before speaking a single sentence. How could she be so straightforward? For a moment, he was a little stunned. What? Shopkeeper Chi doesn't agree with me? Yun Chujio asked faintly when she saw Shopkeeper Chi's stunned expression. Shopkeeper Chi finally regained his senses. Ninth Miss is right. That kind of worker is indeed useless. He should have been fired a long time ago. It seems that you agree with my way of doing things. Report what happened today to the palace mistress truthfully. Then tell her that the reward for me should be decided first. Give it to me together with the red packet when we meet next time. Shopkeeper Chi's face was filled with confusion and bewilderment. I heard that the palace mistress seemed to dislike this ninth young miss in the voice transmission talisman today. Why did it sound like this ninth young miss had a good relationship with the palace mistress? Otherwise, why would she still talk about rewards and red packets? Forget it. No matter what, this ninth young miss was also the beloved one of His Excellency. It was better not to offend her. Ninth Miss, Commander and Foam will be here tonight. I will bring the four of you to the upper room to rest first. Shopkeeper Chi arranged for the four of them to be escorted to the four upper rooms before leaving. Yun Chujio entered her room and looked around. The room was decorated lavishly. What surprised her the most was that each room was equipped with an isolation array and a protective array. The guests only needed to fill it with spirit stones to activate it. It was very convenient. After Yun Chujio washed up, she fell asleep on the bed. She slept until the sun went down before she left the room. Shopkeeper Chi saw Yun Chujio come out and quickly went forward to inform her, "Miss Jiu, Commander and Fong is here. Please come with me." Yun Chujio called Fong Ming and the other two to follow Shopkeeper Chi into a room. And Fong was already waiting there. And Fong respectfully bowed to Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio sat down, and Fong did not sit down but stood up to say his piece. Chapter 962, Junior Sister Little Jiu, Wake Up. Shopkeeper Chi was very surprised. Commander and Fong, who could be said to be the most respected person in the Hall of Longevity apart from a few masters, how could he be so respectful to this little girl? Moreover, there was a bit of fear within the deference. How was this possible? This little girl was only at the first level of the spirit sect. Commander Enfong was an expert at the level of a spirit paragon. How could he be afraid of a little trash like her? Ninth Miss, in half a month, Tianyuan Academy will begin to recruit students. Anyone between the ages of 14 and 25 can take the entrance exam. The entrance exam is different every year, but it usually consists of 3 rounds of tests. Only those who pass the test will be eligible to enter the academy. The tuition fee of Tianyuan Academy is not cheap, 10,000 upper-grade spirit stones per person per year. However, if you can get into the top 10 of the entrance exam, not only will you be exempted from the tuition fee, you will also be rewarded with a different amount of points. Enfong told Yun Chuzhou everything he knew. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Half a month was enough time to make some preparations. Enfong, help me do one thing. Help me calculate the contents of the entrance examination for the past 10 years. It would be even better if you can calculate the contents for the past 20 years. Also, prepare a copy of the details and preferences of the principal and teachers of Tianyuan Academy for me. Enfong knew that Yun Chuzhou was full of ideas, so he did not question her instructions. He immediately arranged for people to gather the requested materials. It was a piece of cake for the secret guards of the Hall of Longevity to do these things. In just 2 days, the materials that Yun Chuzhou wanted were all prepared. Moreover, they had even completed an additional task, gathering the current information of the students of Tianyuan Academy. Yun Chuzhia's heart was filled with envy. Since when did her Thunder sect have such power? No wonder the pretty boy looked so flustered. He was indeed awesome. Yun Chuzhou went into seclusion and studied in her room for a few days. Then, she spent the rest of her days strolling around in Vigor City. The news that Yun Chuzhou was the daughter of the palace mistress' old friend had already spread. Therefore, even though everyone despised her for having low spiritual power, with such a title, no one dared to make things difficult for her. Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, the palace mistress is not too bad. No matter what, she acts as her protector, her umbrella. Cough, cough, next time, I should extort fewer spirit stones from her. Yun Chuzhou bought a bunch of scattered items. Feng Ming and the other 2 did not understand why, but they did not ask either. Anyway, junior sister Little Jiu would not spend money recklessly. It was probably something useful. The 3 of them were worried about one thing, and that was the tuition fee. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones were equivalent to 100 million low-grade spirit stones. They only had tens of millions of low-grade spirit stones on them. It was simply not enough. After Yun Chuzhou noticed their concerns, she said with a smile, "Senior brothers, you don't have to worry about that. When the time comes, we'll make it into the top 10. Won't the tuition fee be waived? Besides, I have plenty of money now. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones is a small matter. Prince Charming's mother has already given me 200,000 high-grade spirit stones. It's enough for us to last until we graduate." Feng Ming and the other 2 automatically ignored Yun Chuzhia's previous words. The top 10. Junior sister Little Jiu, wake up. Forget about the top 10, if we can get into the top 10 with the results, we'll be lucky. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye, and the day for the registration of the Tianyuan Academy had arrived. Early in the morning, Yun Chuzhou and the other 3 cheerfully headed towards the registration area of the Tianyuan Academy. The registration area was right in front of the Tianyuan Academy square, and when Yun Chuzhou and the other 3 arrived, tens of thousands of people had already gathered. Chapter 963, The Reputation of the Azure Mystic Continent. The square was filled with a hubbub of voices. Yun Chuzhou swept her gaze across the crowd. None of them were weaker than them in terms of spiritual power. When the crowd saw the 4 of them throwing looks of disdain at them, they could not believe that such trash would still want to apply for the Tianyuan Academy. It was wishful thinking. Yun Chujio and the other three stood at the back of the line, waiting for their turn to register. Although many people came to register, there were dozens of people who were in charge of registering, so things still proceeded smoothly. 2 hours later, it was Yun Chujio's turn. The person in charge of registering glanced at Yun Chujio and curled his lips. "Are you sure you want to register?" Yun Chujio cursed in her heart, "Fuck, you're being biased. Why didn't you ask those people who signed up before? Why was she the only one being questioned? Why couldn't she sign up just because her spiritual power was low?" Although she cursed in her heart, she didn't show it on her face. She responded calmly, "Yes, I want to sign up. Fill out this form. The registration fee is 10 high-grade spiritual stones." The person attending to Yun Chujio said in his heart, "This kind of person was the source of free income for our Tianyuan Academy. It would be strange if such a person could pass the exam." Yun Chujio filled out the form and handed it to the man who was in charge of the registration. The man glanced at it and then cried out strangely, "Origin, Azure Mystic Continent. You ascended from the Azure Mystic Continent?" Yun Chujio nodded. "That's right. No wonder you're so weak. Our Tianyuan Academy has never recruited students from Azure Mystic Continent because the people of the Azure Mystic Continent are too weak. Those who ascended from the Azure Mystic Continent are already several hundred years old." The man's tone was filled with deep disdain and the arrogance typical of a person from the Tianyuan continent. "Teacher, don't be so absolute. We will find out what happens in the future," Yun Chujio said lightly. The man was stunned. He did not expect Yun Chujio to dare to speak out. He sneered, "We will find out in the future. Fellow student, I am not trying to discourage you. With your talent, it is simply wishful thinking for you to enter the Tianyuan Academy. I advise you to give up on this idea." The people behind him also mocked her. "That's right, a good-for-nothing from the first level of the spirit sect still wants to enter the Tianyuan Academy. It's simply like a toad trying to eat swan meat. I heard that the people of the Azure Mystic Continent are all poor. 10 high-grade spirit stones is not a small amount. It's better to keep them for food, or else they won't be able to live on. Tisk. With their weak state, do you think they can establish a foothold in our Tianyuan continent? I reckon they can only do some hard work. That little girl is not bad looking. It should be alright to go to the Itsue Tower to find a job." A triangular-eyed man said with a lecherous look. As soon as he finished his sentence, he was slapped twice on his face. The triangular-eyed man was stunned by the slap. After a while, he realized that it was the little girl named Yun Chujio who hit him. He was immediately enraged. "Stupid girl! What right do you have to hit me? You are courting death. I will sell you to the pimps right now." Yun Chujio looked at him coldly. Then, she suddenly jumped forward and slapped the triangular-eyed man several times. Then, she took out a large kitchen knife and placed it on the man's neck. "Shut your stupid mouth, or I will make you mute forever." The crowd never expected Yun Chujio to actually start beating him up at the slightest disagreement. This was the registration venue of the Tianyuan Academy. Where did she get such courage from? Also, that man should be at the 3rd level of the spirit sect. How could he be beaten up so easily by that little girl? Chapter 964, also from the Yin family. The triangular-eyed man shouted, "Little girl, if you dare to touch me, my father will not forgive you." "Your father? So you haven't weaned at this age? You still want to ask your father for help? Who is your father?" Yun Chujio gently cut the man's neck with the kitchen knife, and a trickle of blood began to flow. The man was in so much pain that he cried like a ghost and howled like a wolf. "My father is Yin Qingba of the Yin family, and the head of the Yin family is my uncle. If you dare to touch me, the Yin family will not forgive you. Oh, so it's the Yin family. Yun Chujio said slowly. Humph. You no fear now, right? Quickly let me go and kowtow to me as an apology. I might be in a good mood and take you in as a concubine, and you'll soar to the sky in one step. The triangular-eyed man said proudly. Yun Chujio smiled coldly. She took the large kitchen knife and cut a large cross on the man's face. The man was in so much pain that it was as if he was killing a pig. Stupid girl, you're courting death. My father won't forgive you. You always end up mentioning your father. You're promising. Also, scum like you is an embarrassment to the Yin family. I heard that the Yin family is one of the most famous families in the Tianyuan continent. Is this how the family usually behaves? You insulted others and bullied the weak. I have learned a lot about the people of this continent today, said Yun Chujio disdainfully as she kicked the triangular-eyed man to the ground. Stinky girl. You are dead meat. You. Just you wait, our Yin family will not forgive you. The triangular-eyed man took a pill to stop the bleeding and replied fiercely. You will not forgive me. Do you know who I am? Yun Chujio asked with a smile. Who are you? Aren't you just a piece of trash from the Tianyuan continent? The triangular-eyed man was dazzled by Yun Chujio's smile. This stinky girl was really pretty. Fuck, I will definitely fuck you if I had the chance. I'm sorry, the palace mistress of the Hall of Longevity is my aunt. If you think that your Yin family is stronger than the Hall of Longevity, then feel free to try. Let's see if your Yin family can withstand the wrath of the Hall of Longevity. Yun Chujio felt that this feeling of bullying others was fucking awesome. The old witch had done a good deed by giving her this identity. Some of the people who came to register whispered, that's right. A few days ago, this little girl argued with the second miss of the Yin clan at the entrance of the Long Wind Inn. Shopkeeper Chi personally said that this little girl is the daughter of the palace mistress' old friend and has been staying in the Long Wind Inn for the past few days. No wonder this little girl is so arrogant. It turns out that she also has someone powerful behind her. Of course. If she wasn't so young, how could she have ascended? It must have been the palace mistress who secretly took care of her. What you said makes a lot of sense. I'm afraid that Yin Shueqing will fall this time. No matter how arrogant their Yin clan is, they wouldn't dare to go against the Hall of Longevity. However, if they don't dare to do it on the surface, it's hard to say in the dark. This little girl just offended the second miss of the Yin clan a few days ago, and now she has offended Yin Shueqing. If she really ends up entering the Tianyuan Academy, there will definitely be endless trouble. I think you're thinking too much. How can she possibly get into the Tianyuan Academy with her aptitude? The Tianyuan Academy has always had a reputation as a place for people with special status. Even the palace mistress has no way of interfering with the Tianyuan Academy's enrollment process. Upon hearing Yun Chujio and the others' words, Yin Shueqing was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He naturally didn't dare to go against the palace mistress. Damned girl, for the sake of the palace mistress, let's forget about today's matter. If there's a next time, I'll punish you even if I have to risk offending the Hall of Longevity. Chapter 965, Truly an idiot. Even though Yin Shueqing said that he had already made up his mind, damned girl, if I have the chance, I will kill you. As long as I don't leave any evidence behind, the Hall of Longevity can't do anything to me. Besides, what weight can the daughter of an old friend have? I don't believe that the palace mistress will fall out with our Yin clan because of you. Oh right, they said that this stinky girl offended Su Lian. Su Lian, that girl was even more vengeful. He probably did not need to make a move and this stinky girl would be in trouble. When the time came, he would come over and toy with her to death. Yun Chujio glanced at those people who were gossiping among the crowd again. Those people felt a chill in their hearts for no reason, but it only lasted for a moment before it disappeared. They felt that it was most likely an illusion. How could a little girl at the first level of the spirit sect make them tremble in fear? Only then did Yun Chujio return to the front of the registration platform. She glanced at the teacher and said, "Can I finish my registration now?" Although the teacher was not happy in his heart, he reluctantly handed over the jade token and storage bag to Yun Chujio given as part of the registration when he found out that this little girl had the support of the palace mistress. Feng Ming and the other two who were standing behind her took advantage of Yun Chujio's presence. The teacher did not waste any more words and handed out the registration jade token and storage bag after they filled in their forms. Just as Yun Chujio and the other three were about to leave the square, they met the red-dressed girl and her group. Yin Xuecheng saw that Yin Sulian had arrived and immediately went over. "Sister Sulian, this Yun Chujio has scratched my face. You have to help your brother." Yin Xuecheng had his own little scheme in his heart. Sulian was the family head's biological daughter, so her status was naturally not something he could compare to. It would be best if she fought with Yun Chujio, that wretched girl. When that time came, it would be a good thing for him if either of them suffered a loss. It would be best if Yin Qinghua was removed from the position of the family head. That way, his father would have a chance of becoming the family head. Yin Sulian saw the wound on Yin Zucheng's face and grew furious. "Yun Chujio, I warned you not to provoke me again. You actually hurt my cousin. You must give me an explanation today." Yun Chujio shrugged. "Yin Xuecheng, didn't you say that this was over? Why are you going back on your words?" Yin Xuecheng rolled his triangular eyes. "Yun Chujio, I did say that, but just because I spared you doesn't mean that my sister Sulian won't take revenge for me. You dared to hurt me because you didn't give face to the Yin family. As the daughter of the family head, my sister Sulian will naturally help me deal with you." Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. She did not expect that Yin Xuecheng was that cunning. He actually knew how to use others to do his dirty work. That Yin Sulian was really stupid. She was used by others, yet she was still so strong. What an idiot. "Yun Chujio, what my cousin said makes sense. You are slapping the face of our Yin clan by hitting him. Kneel immediately and apologize to my cousin. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Yin Sulian was using what happened as an excuse to punish her. A few days ago, she was also humiliated by Yun Chujio. She hated Yun Chujio to death in her heart. Face. So your Yin clan's face is even bigger than the Hall of Longevities? The palace mistress once told me that in the Tianyuan continent, the Hall of Longevity's status was extraordinary. Does it seem that she is lying to me? When I meet Auntie, I will ask her properly. Since when did the Yin clan have so much face that they don't even respect the Hall of Longevity? Yun Chujio said with a sneer. Yin Sulian curled her lips in disdain. Humph. Yun Chujio, don't flatter yourself. You are the daughter of an old friend. What weight does that have? I don't believe that the palace mistress would do anything for you. Hurry up and apologize to my cousin. Chapter 966, You're so stupid, Yun Chujio said indifferently. What if I don't apologize? Then I'll cut your face twice to prevent you from wearing that seductive face to bewitch others. Yin Sulian looked at Yun Chujio's flawless white skin and said jealously. Yun Chujio did not get angry but laughed instead. Damn, I didn't expect that my looks could cause even women in the Tianyuan continent to be jealous. It seemed that I was indeed a peerless beauty now. Little Black Bird was already too tired to comment. Please. You missed the point, okay? You should be worried that someone is going to cut your face, but you still have the time to admire yourself. That's enough. Yin Sulian saw the smile on Yun Chujia's face and thought that she was provoking her. She shouted angrily, "All of you, get out of the way. I will teach this bitch a good lesson today." The surrounding crowd did not dare to do anything that might offend Yin Sulian. Moreover, these bystanders enjoyed a spectacle, so they immediately made way for a large open space. Feng Ming and the other two shielded Yun Chujio behind them and confronted Yin Sulian. "Senior brother Feng Ming, the three of you just need to stand behind me and support me. I can handle her myself." Yun Chujio recovered from her shock and said to Feng Ming and the other two. Only then did Feng Ming and the other two step back and look at Yun Chujio worriedly. That Yin Sulian was at the 5th level of the spirit sect, which was 4 levels higher than junior sister Little Jiu. No matter how monstrous junior sister Little Jiu was, she could not defeat her. She would definitely be at a disadvantage, and they did not know if Feng was nearby to help. Shi Xian's heart skipped a beat. He said to Feng Ming and Gung Yi, "I'll go to Long Wind Inn to look for Feng. If Feng is not here, I'll call shopkeeper Qi over." Feng Ming and Gung Yi felt that that was the only way, so they nodded in agreement and instructed Shi Xian to return as soon as possible. "Bitch, I'll give you one last chance. Otherwise, I won't hold back," Yin Sulian said fiercely. BT*TCH. The Yin family's upbringing is indeed different from the rest. You keep calling others bitch. You're the real bitch. Yun Chujio curled her lips and said. Yin Sulian was so angry that her face turned red. She formed a seal with both of her hands and hundreds of wind blades flew towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio leaped up to a height of more than 30 feet. She easily dodged Yin Sulian's attack and said with a smile, "5th level of the spirit sect. Did you take medicine to increase your spiritual power? You are too weak." Yun Chujio was right. Although this Yin Sulian's aptitude was not bad, she was too lazy to cultivate. To be able to enter the Tianyuan Academy, she took a lot of pills to increase her spiritual power to the 5th level of the spirit sect. When Yin Sulian's secret was exposed by Yun Chujio, she became even angrier and her attacks grew fiercer. Yun Chujio only defended but did not attack. She dodged and dodged Yin Sulian's attack. While she dodged, she mocked, "Yin Sulian, if I were you, I embarrass myself further. 5th level of the spirit sect. Such a weak spiritual power attack is not even as strong as someone at the 2nd level of the spirit sect. TSK, you still want to fight for justice for others? Do you have a brain? Being used by others, yet you still bravely charge into the battle. You're so stupid. You're an idiot. Even after being sold to slavers, you still help them count their money. Before you came, that Yin Xuecheng clearly said that he was going to overlook things, but after seeing you, he worked hard to sow discord. Why do you think he did that? Let me guess, perhaps Yin Zucheng's father is coveting the position of the head of your Yin family, so he's trying to sow discord between you and me. If you anger the Hall of Longevity, his father will use this opportunity to ascend to the throne. Yin Xuecheng almost fell to the ground. Fuck. Could this little girl read minds? Chapter 967, Do you not know what it means to respect the elderly? Yin Sulian heard Yun Chujio's words and felt a little suspicious. When she saw the guilty look on Yin Zucheng's face, her heart was filled with hatred. Damn it! She had been used by him. However, this Yun Chujio was really detestable. She had to teach her a lesson today. As long as she was not killed, the palace mistress would not do anything to her. Thinking of this, Yin Sulian angrily said, "Yun Chujio, there's no need for you to sow discord here. You hurt my cousin, so you have to apologize to him. Io, you're really stupid. I've told you the stakes, but you still don't know how to repent. You're too stupid to be saved, Yun Chujio said with a smile as she dodged the wind blades. I've been holding back from this fight. I didn't lay a finger on you. If this gets out, will people say that you, Yin Sulian, are bullying others? Will people praise me for being open-minded and not fighting back when you're forcing me? The ways of the Hall of Longevity and the Yin family are very different. The spectators finally understood why Yun Chujio had not fought back. It was actually for the reputation of the Hall of Longevity. Compared to the Yin family, their actions were too ostentatious. They did not have the foundations of an aristocratic family, they behaved just like the nouveau riche. When Yin Sulian heard the crowd's discussion, her eyes turned red with anger. She had never suffered such a loss since she was young. Today, she had to kill Yun Chujio. Seeing that the spiritual attack could not hurt Yun Chujio, Yin Sulian gritted her teeth and took out a treasure sword from her storage ring. The crowd immediately cried out in surprise. This is the Yin family's heavenly thunderbolt sword. It is said to be able to emit lightning-like light with astonishing power. This is the Yin family's heirloom. No wonder it is said that Second Lady Yin is the most doted on by the Yin family's patriarch. Now that I see it, it is indeed so. She gave the heavenly thunderbolt sword to Second Lady Yin. This time, that little girl is finished. The heavenly thunderbolt sword's power is astonishing. Although her movement technique is not bad, she can't avoid it. At that moment, a voice was heard shouting, Second Lady Yin, sheath that sword. Yin Sulian looked up and saw shopkeeper Qi rushing over. Shopkeeper Qi felt uneasy and thought that if something happened to Yun Chujio, he would probably be involved as well, so he decided to come and take a look. He happened to meet Shi Xian halfway and heard Shi Xian talk about what happened. Shopkeeper Qi's heart sank. He thought to himself, little girl, you really can cause trouble. How could you cause such a big mess just by registering? When shopkeeper Qi rushed over, he saw Yin Sulian summoning the heavenly thunderbolt sword. He was so frightened that his face turned pale. He quickly shouted and walked between Yun Chujio and Yin Sulian, wanting to stop Yin Sulian. When Yin Sulian saw that it was shopkeeper Qi, she was already blinded by anger. She said with a cold face, Shopkeeper Qi, I've already let you off a few days ago. This matter has nothing to do with you. Get lost, or don't blame me for turning hostile and hitting you by accident. Shopkeeper Qi was slightly displeased. Although he was only a shopkeeper, he was the palace mistress' trusted aide. He could also be considered as someone respected in the Hall of Longevity. To be scolded by Yin Sulian like this, he felt somewhat embarrassed. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes, she could not contain her anger and said, Yin Sulian. Do you not know what it means to respect the elderly? Shopkeeper Qi is an old man from the Hall of Longevity. Even the commanders of the secret guards have to be polite when they see Shopkeeper Qi. Who do you think you are to talk to Shopkeeper Qi like that? Apologize to Shopkeeper Qi quickly, or I won't forgive you. Chapter 968, Someone as smart as me was born only once every millennium. When shopkeeper Qi heard Yun Chujio's words, his impression of Yun Chujio immediately improved. He originally thought that this little girl had caused a mess, but now it seemed like the unreasonable Yin Sulian was the one who instigated things. She was too arrogant. Yun Chujio glanced at shopkeeper Qi and silently praised herself in her heart for being able to show off, someone as smart as me was born only once every millennium. Shopkeeper Qi, why aren't you moving? I must kill this Yun Chujio today. Yin Sulian heard Yun Chujio's words, but when she saw shopkeeper Qi's expression, she felt a little regretful. However, she gritted her teeth. Since she had already come this far, it was nothing if a servant of the Hall of Longevity scolded her. What else could he do to me? Second Lady Yin, I once told you that the 9th Miss is an old friend of the palace mistress' daughter. Are you going to make an enemy out of the Hall of Longevity? Yin Sulian snorted coldly. She's just an old friend's daughter. The palace mistress dotes on me the most. I don't believe that she will punish me for over such a good-for-nothing. Get out of my way. I must kill her today. Shopkeeper Chi sneered in his heart, dotes on you the most. You are deluding yourself. With a fool like you, the palace mistress would only dote on you if she were blind. Shopkeeper Chi was about to continue trying to stop her when a cold voice berated, Sulian, don't be rude. Hurry up and apologize to Shopkeeper Chi. Otherwise, he'll send a message to father, asking you to come back next year to apply for the exam. As the voice rang out, a woman in white walked over. Everyone unconsciously made a path for her. Yun Chujio also looked up and saw that the woman had a beautiful face and a cold temperament. There was an imperceptible cold arrogance between her brows. Sister. You don't know anything. A few days ago, this Yun Chujio humiliated me at the entrance of Long Wind Inn. Today, she hurt cousin Xuecheng. I really can't stand it anymore. When Yin Sulian saw who it was, her eyes reddened and she was so aggrieved that she almost cried. Everyone began to whisper among themselves. It was the eldest daughter of the Yin family, Yin Xinlian. She was one of the 3 beauties of Tianyuan Academy. Not only was she beautiful, but her spiritual power was superb. She was also proficient in array formations. She was the goddess of many people. Unfortunately, these 3 sisters were all admirers of His Excellency. It was inevitable that many people would be sad knowing they had no chance. Yin Xinlian heard Yin Sulian's words and cast a cold glance at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could sense the emotions in Yin Xinlian's eyes. She was jealous. Why would Yin Xinlian be jealous of her? Sulian, what is this place? How can you just do as you please? Hurry up and apologize to Shopkeeper Chi. Yin Xinlian said coldly. Yin Sulian had been afraid of her sister since she was young. When she heard her words, she said to Shopkeeper Chi unwillingly, Shopkeeper Chi, I was angry just now and my words were a little rude. Please forgive me. Although Shopkeeper Chi was not happy in his heart, she had already lowered herself, so it was naturally not appropriate for him to say anything more. Thus, he said, the 9th miss has just arrived, so it is inevitable that she would be a little rash. For the sake of the palace mistress, let's put this matter behind us. What do you think, eldest Miss Yin? Yin Xinlian lightly nodded. Of course. The palace mistress is usually generous to us sisters, so we naturally have to give her face. This matter will be put to rest, and no one is allowed to mention it again in the future. Shopkeeper Chi thought to himself that the elder Miss Yin was indeed much more sensible than the second Miss Yin. This matter was finally resolved, and it was likely that the 9th miss would not be able to enter the Tianyuan Academy either. When the time came, he would be able to hand her over to His Excellency, and he would not have to worry. Chapter 969, Was the Jade Token Defective? Thank you very much, Miss Yin. I will report this matter to the palace mistress truthfully. Farewell. Shopkeeper Chi gave Yun Chujio a look after he finished speaking, indicating for her to leave with him. Yun Chujio followed Shopkeeper Chi and left eagerly. Sister, are we going to let that bitch off just like that? She bullied me terribly. Yin Sulian stomped her feet and said angrily. I've already said that this matter ends here. You're not allowed to cause any more trouble for her. The entrance exam is going to be held in 3 days. Prepare well. If you fail the exam, father will not forgive you when you return. I know. He'll definitely pass the exam. Yin Sulian said defiantly. Yin Xinlian looked at Yun Chujio's back and a trace of sternness flashed across her eyes. The daughter of the palace mistress, old friend? Brother Biming. He addressed her rather amiably. The palace mistress had yet to decide on a suitable fiancé for her. Could it be that she was letting this trash be his fiancé? Yin Xinlian shook her head. It cannot be. How could the palace mistress take a fancy to such trash? It should only be a case of caring for the daughter of an old friend. Yun Chujio, you better not have any thoughts that you should not have. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Achoo! Achoo! Damn it! It must be that little bitch scolding me. Yun Chujio sneezed twice and said fiercely. Shopkeeper Chi staggered. This little girl was too rude. No wonder the three beauties of Tianyuan Academy did not catch the eye of His Excellency. It turned out that His Excellency liked this sort of woman. Miss Jiu, the Yin family is quite powerful. You'd better not get into conflict with them in the future, Shopkeeper Chi advised. Yes. Shopkeeper Chi, don't worry. If they don't provoke me, I will not provoke them either. I have always valued harmony, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Shopkeeper Chi's eyes twitched violently. Although they had not known each other for a long time, this little girl did not seem to have any intention of maintaining harmony. She really could cause trouble. However, after the entrance test was over in 3 days, he would feel relaxed. Her group might not even make it past the first round. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The entrance test for Tianyuan Academy had finally begun. Early in the morning, Yun Chujio and the other two arrived at the square in front of Tianyuan Academy. The instructor in charge of the test briefly explained the rules. The first round of the test is very simple. 4 of you will be sent to a secret realm. The violet brocade grass will grow in the secret realm for 5 days. The score will be based on the amount of grass you have collected. The top 1,000 teams will move on to the second round of the test. The rest will be eliminated. Following the teacher's words, a purple spirit herb appeared on the huge display screen in the square. The details were also magnified so that everyone could understand the characteristics of the violet brocade grass. Now put the 4 of your registration jade tokens together and combine the 4 jade tokens according to the hand seals I will teach you. After the teacher finished speaking, he demonstrated the hand seals. After everyone completed the hand seals according to his instruction, the 4 jade tokens indeed became one. At this time, someone raised his hand and said, "Teacher. Teacher. Are our jade tokens defective? Why can't we combine them?" The one who spoke was Yun Chujio. She and Feng Ming had tried for a long time, but they still could not combine the 4 jade tokens. They could only raise their hands and ask. The teacher frowned slightly. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He looked at Yun Chujio and the others. He suddenly came to a realization. Only those at the 3rd level of the spirit sect or above can use this hand seal technique. Your spiritual power is not high enough, so you did not succeed. Come over, I will help you put together the jade tokens. Chapter 970, A Team of Idiots. Yun Chujio ran to the bottom of the stage. The teacher raised his hand and the jade token in Yun Chujio's hand fell into the hands of the teacher. After forming a seal, the 4 jade tokens were combined into one and a number appeared on it, which indicated the group number. When the teacher saw the number on it, the corner of his mouth twitched and he returned the jade token to Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio thanked him, she returned to the middle of the group. When she saw the number on the jade plate, she could not help but curse in her heart. Damn it, this number was too unlucky, it was actually 250. Some people at the side saw it and could not help but whisper to each other. This number matched well with this group. Trash matched with 250 was simply a perfect match. A team of idiots. It was laughable that 4 first-level spirit sect members would compete with them for admission. When you encounter danger inside, send your spiritual sense into the jade token and you will be sent out. However, once you are sent out ahead of time, your grades will be set to 0. In addition, there is a forbidden area in the secret realm that no one is allowed to enter. If you decide to go there, you will bear the consequences yourselves. The time has come. The teleportation array will be activated immediately. As soon as the teacher finished speaking, a white light flashed in front of everyone's eyes. When they opened their eyes again, the scene in front of them had already changed. They were already in the valley. Look! Violet brocade grass. Someone pointed at a place not far away and said in surprise. Sure enough, there was a small patch of violet brocade grass not far away. Everyone immediately swarmed over. Yun Chujio stretched her neck and looked, motioning for Feng Ming and the other 2 to follow her. Junior sister Little Jiu, why don't we go pick the violet brocade grass? Gung Yi asked, puzzled. There are only a few hundred violet brocade grass in total. How can we compete with them? We'd better stay away from them because they might rob us in the end. Yun Chujio touched her chin and said. Feng Ming and the other 2 nodded. Junior sister Little Jiu's worry was well-founded. If they wanted to rob us, we really weren't a match for any group. Therefore, Yun Chujio and the other 3 ran wildly until they felt that there was enough distance between them and the other groups. Only then did they start to look for the violet brocade grass. They did not know if they had chosen the wrong direction. On the first day, Yun Chujio and the other 3 ended up empty-handed. The next day, they still could not find anything. Ha ha ha. Everyone, look. That group of idiots still did not manage to pick a single violet brocade grass. They are really idiots. I know that group. It's that useless group. The 4 of them all ascended from the Azure Mystic Continent. They are all only at the first level of the spirit sect. No wonder. You can understand why just from that. These 4 people overestimated themselves. Even if we were born and raised in the Tianyuan continent, only 1 in 10,000 can be admitted into the Tianyuan Academy. It is simply wishful thinking for the 4 of them to still want to enter the Tianyuan Academy. That's right. I bet that they either couldn't defeat the guardian beast of the violet brocade grass, or they were robbed by someone else. This might be the first time in Tianyuan Academy's 10,000-year history that we see a team get a score of 0. It's embarrassing. Shopkeeper Chi's old face was slightly red as he stood at the side. He had said that these 4 people were not of the same caliber and were not that old either. It would have been better if they had obediently cultivated for a few more years before applying for the examination. Now, it was really embarrassing. Even their palace mistress was embarrassed. Inside the secret realm, Yun Chujio and the other 3 were also worried about their situation. Junior sister Little Jiu, it's already the 3rd day. If we still can't find any violet brocade grass, we will be eliminated. Feng Ming frowned. He had been perplexed. Why was there not a single violet brocade grass around? Chapter 971, Repeated lightning strikes. Yun Chujio felt that something was off. How could there not be a single one? Could it be that she had chosen the wrong direction and that violet brocade grass did not grow at this place? Let's go back and see if we can find any elsewhere. Yun Chujio decided to look in another direction. 2 hours later, they encountered the other cultivators one after another. When some teams saw Yun Chujio and the other 3, their eyes immediately revealed a greedy light. Some people surrounded them and said, "Hand over the violet brocade grass that you have gathered. Otherwise, don't blame us for any accidents that may happen to you." Yun Chujio shook off her storage bag with a bitter face. There was nothing inside. We haven't found any. If you don't believe me, you can check for yourself. We didn't pick a single one. Ha ha ha. You guys are really a useless group. Then wouldn't their results be 0? Ha ha ha, this is so funny. How pitiful. Do you want us to give some to you? Otherwise, your score would be 0. The faces of Feng Ming and the other two turned red. They had never been ridiculed to that extent before. Yun Chuzhou glanced at them. Only then did the three of them suppress their anger and keep silent. Yun Chuzhou said indifferently, "One is not enough. Since you are so kind, then give us all your violet brocade grass." Humph. In your dreams. Let's go. After that person said that, the four of them were about to leave. Unexpectedly, Yun Chuzhou was like a ghost. She suddenly moved forward and slapped the disciple who held the storage bag. The disciple sensed the movement behind him and quickly dodged. When he saw that the person who attacked him was Yun Chuzhou, he could not help but become angry out of humiliation. "You stinky girl, you dare try to rob us? You overestimate yourself." In giving him a taste of his own medicine. "Don't worry, after I rob you, they'll give you some violet brocade grass. Senior brother Feng Ming, he'll leave the other three to you." Yun Chuzhou said coldly. "Fuck. You're overestimating yourself. Brothers, cripple them." The man said as he attacked Yun Chuzhou. The man formed a seal with both hands and was about to use his spiritual power to attack her. Yun Chuzhou's eyes flashed with a faint light, forming a seal. "Let's you form a seal while I electrocute you." Yun Chuzhou waved her left and right hands repeatedly, and several purple lightning bolts struck the man. The man was instantly dumbfounded. Fuck. What was that? How could a person shoot lightning from their hands? Was that purple lightning? The man desperately dodged Yun Chuzhou's attack and quickly formed a seal. Finally, several wind blades flew towards Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou had learned from her experience in the flaming desert, and she felt that the attack was too weak. After she dodged, she struck at the man again. The man saw that there was no interval between Yun Chuzhou's lightning bolt attacks. He felt like crying in his heart. How was this possible? It was fine if she did not form a seal, but why could she repeatedly attack without pause? This did not make sense. Yun Chuzhou did not care whether it made sense or not. She struck at the man. The man noticed a burnt smell. It turned out that his hair had been struck by lightning. The man quickly rolled on the ground and extinguished the flame on his head. Yun Chuzhou kicked the man and transferred the violet brocade grass from his storage bag into her storage bag. At that time, Feng Ming and the other two also had the upper hand. The cultivators of the Tianyuan continent lived relatively comfortable lives. The concentration of spiritual power here was much higher than that of the Azure Mystic continent. Therefore, although their level of spiritual power was higher than Feng Ming's group, their actual combat experience and mastery were inferior. Chapter 972, The robbers had become the robbed. Feng Ming and the other two had been holding back for a long time. They beat the three people until they begged for mercy. They really could not understand what had happened. They were all at the third level of the spirit sect. How could they not be able to beat those three trash who were only at the first level of the spirit sect? Here, it was agreed that I would give you some as pity. Keep it well. Otherwise, you'll get 0 points. Yun Chuzhou picked the smallest violet brocade grass and threw it on the ground. Then, she led Feng Ming and the other two away. The four of them wanted to cry, but they had no tears. The robbers had become the robbed instead. Yun Chuzhou mumbled as she walked, "It's still faster to rob others after all. Now, we have more than 50 violet brocade grass. It's a pity that there aren't many weak groups like them. We can barely deal with the third level of the spirit sect. If they were all at the fourth level of the spirit sect, we wouldn't be able to defeat them. Feng Ming and the other two were still drunk from their joy of success. They had not expected that they would be able to challenge a cultivator at a higher level than them and even defeat them. They were not that useless after all. Yun Chujia's words immediately made them sober up. Only a small number of people who came to participate in the test were at the third layer of the spirit sect. Most of them were at the fourth layer of the spirit sect or above, and even those were still the weakest of the entire bunch. Junior sister Little Jill, then what should we do next? Well, find somewhere with fewer people around. Perhaps we'll be able to get some unexpected gains. Since they could not compete with others, they could only find other ways to get ahead. Just as the four of them were about to leave, they heard someone say arrogantly, "Stinky girl, stop right there." Yun Chujio raised her head and looked in the direction of the voice. It was a narrow road between several enemies. The person who spoke was Yin Shuecheng. The other three people's spiritual power level should be higher than the previous group they encountered. She could not tell if they were at the fourth or fifth level of the spirit sect. "Stinky girl, hand over the violet brocade grass in your storage bag, then kowtow to me and admit your guilt. I will be merciful and spare you. Otherwise, I will deal with you right here." Yin Zucheng's eyes revealed a perverted light. Previously, he had restrained himself a little at the academy's entrance, but now he had completely exposed his true nature. Yun Chujio estimated the strength of both sides. Although her side was slightly weaker, she had caught them off guard, so she should still have a chance of winning. Therefore, Yun Chujia's hand behind her back made a hand gesture, and Feng Ming and the other two understood. They quietly began to move behind the four people. Yun Chujia's face revealed an extremely angry expression. "Yin Shuecheng. You're shameless. What right do you have to rob us of our violet brocade grass? Che! What are you pretending for? Didn't you get your violet brocade grass through robbery as well? Hurry up and hand it over, or I will use force. You're so delicate and tender. If you get hurt, it won't be as good." Yin Shuecheng laughed with malicious intent. The other three also laughed. From their point of view, although Yun Chujio had dodged more than a dozen attacks from Yin Sulian, that did not mean anything. Yin Sulian's spiritual power was enhanced by eating pills, so it made her look more powerful, but in reality, she was useless. They were different, not to mention the other three with Yun Chujio were seen as trash. When the time came, they could take down this little girl in a 2-on-1 fight. Yun Chujio suddenly smiled and said to Yin Shuecheng, "All right, a wise man submits to uncontrollable circumstances. Come here, I'll give you the storage bag." Yin Shuecheng was instantly dazzled by Yun Chujia's smile. He smiled lewdly and said, "That's right. You should comply with me. I won't mistreat you. I'll buy you a house in Vigor City. From now on, you can live there peacefully. When I'm on my break, I can accompany you." Chapter 973, Never Be a Man for the Rest of Your Life. Just as Yin Zucheng's words left his mouth, Yun Chujio raised her right hand and a purple lightning bolt suddenly flew toward Yin Shuecheng. At that moment, Yin Zucheng's mind was filled with all kinds of confusing thoughts. Who would have thought that Yun Chujio would make a move? Previously, the four people only told Yin Shuecheng that they had been robbed. They did not tell him that Yun Chujio had a special spirit root. They also had their schemes and deliberately let the two groups of people fight. Yin Shuecheng was struck by Yun Chujia's lightning. His hair immediately burned and he let out a pig-like squeal. At the same time, Feng Ming and the other two also attacked the other three people. Yun Chujio knew that Feng Ming and the other two were no match for their opponents, so she had to finish off Yin Shuecheng quickly. Yin Xueqing was putting the flame on his hair with his hand when Yin Chuzhou struck at him again with several lightning bolts. He kept desperately dodging. "Stupid girl, how dare you hurt me? I will not forgive you. I will sell you to Itsui Tower, where 1,000 men will dash." Yin Chuzhou kicked him to the ground and hit the back of his neck. After transferring the violet brocade grass in his storage bag to hers, a faint light flashed in her eyes and she hit a few acupuncture points on his body. "Humph, how dare you have such thoughts of me, you'll never be a man for the rest of your life." After Yun Chuzhou finished dealing with Yin Xueqing, she joined Feng Ming and the others in the battle. The three of them already had the upper hand, but Feng Ming and the other two were tenacious and refused to retreat. Even if they wanted to help Yin Xueqing, they could not as they watched helplessly as Yun Chuzhou transferred the violet brocade grass into her storage bag. Once Yun Chuzhou joined in, the situation immediately changed. The main reason was that Yun Chuzhou's lightning was too strange. She did not need to form seals and there was no interval between her throwing lightning bolts. Other people needed to pause between attacks but she did not, which gave her a great advantage. When the three saw that Yin Xueqing was lay on the ground like a dead pig and their violet brocade grass had been snatched, they immediately lost their fighting spirit. They shouted, "We admit defeat, we admit defeat. Since you guys have taken the violet brocade grass, spare us." Yun Chuzhou did not want to tangle with them any longer. She waved her hand and said, "Let's go." The three men saw that Yun Chuzhou and the others had left, so they went forward to wake up Yin Xueqing. Yin Xueqing was only knocked unconscious by Yun Chuzhou, and he woke up shortly after. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth and said, "Let's go find Sulian and urge her to help us take revenge." But our violet brocade grass has been taken by Yun Chuzhou and the others. What if we are eliminated by then? Humph. Let's go rob another group. We'll ally with Yin Sulian. She'll give us something no matter what. It'll be enough for us to advance. Although Yin Xueqing was lustful, his intelligence was much higher than Yin Sulian's. Therefore, the four of them got up and went to look for Yin Sulian. Coincidentally, Yin Sulian was active in this area. Soon, the two groups of people met. "Sister Sulian, you have to help me make a decision." Yin Zucheng's nose was full of snot and tears as he complained. Yin Sulian stepped back in disgust. "Cousin, where's your hair?" It was that Yun Chuzhou. That wretched girl has a heavenly thunder root spirit. No wonder the palace mistress took her seriously. She deliberately burnt off my hair, saying that she wanted to teach you a lesson. She also said that your heavenly thunderbolt sword can't be compared to her heavenly thunder root spirit. It's just a piece of trash. Yin Xueqing added some embellishments to the story. He knew his cousin the best. She did not like anyone stronger than her. She would definitely go and find trouble with Yun Chuzhou. Chapter 974, Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit vs. Heavenly Thunderbolt Sword. As expected, when Yin Sulian heard that Yun Chuzhou had a Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit, she was instantly filled with jealousy and hatred. It was said that the cultivation speed of one with a Heavenly Spirit root was extremely fast. If she allowed that bitch to advance, she would be able to suppress her own growth. She had to get rid of that bitch. No one in this secret realm could stop her. It was just the right time to kill her. "Cousin, how dare she bully you again and again? This is outrageous. You lead the way, and I'll help you take revenge." "Thank you, Sister Sulian. I knew you were the pride of our Yin family. You're really generous. Besides, Yun Chuzhou has taken all of our violet brocade grass. Can you help me get some? Otherwise, we'll be eliminated," Yin Xueqing said while licking his face. Yin Sulian pursed her lips. "After I kill her, won't the violet brocade grass in her storage bag be yours?" Yin Xuecheng slapped his thigh and said fawningly, yes. Yes. You're right. Yun Chujiu, who was hated by both of them, was now the prime target. Sure enough, it's better to rob others after all. We now have over 200 violet brocade grass. It seems that this Yin Xuecheng has robbed many people. Why don't we go and find more victims? The corners of Feng Ming and the other two's eyes twitched. That time, they had only won by sheer luck. If Yin Xuecheng attacked again, they would not be so lucky. Just as the four of them chatted and laughed, they heard Yin Zucheng's arrogant shout from afar. Yun Chujiu. Your time of death has come. Yun Chujiu turned her head and decisively made a decision. Run. Yun Chujiu thought to herself, it would be difficult for us to fight one-on-one, let alone one-on-two. Escape was also a viable strategy in situations like this. Yun Chujiu and the other three ran while Yin Sulian and the other three chased after them. Yin Xuecheng cursed as he chased after them, damn girl. Do you think you'll escape after stealing my violet brocade grass? I'll kill you. Yun Chujiu could not be bothered with him and ran forward with all her might. Yun Chujiu had a lot of pillaged violet brocade grass in her storage bag. It was enough for them to enter the second round, so Yin Sulian chased after them relentlessly. This was a great opportunity to kill Yun Chujiu, and she could not let it go to waste. Yun Chujiu and the other three ran all the way. Suddenly, a stone tablet appeared in front of them. There were two bright red words written on it, Forbidden Area. Yun Chujiu and the other three had no choice but to stop. Before they entered the secret realm, the teacher had especially emphasized that this forbidden area was extremely dangerous, and they must not step into it. At that time, Yin Sulian and the others had also caught up. Yin Xuecheng sneered and said, Run. Run. I want to see where you will run to this time. Hand over the violet brocade grass, and then kneel and kowtow to me. Otherwise, I will kill all of you. Yun Chujiu glanced at Yin Sulian. Yin Sulian, you've learned from your mistakes. You were instigated by Yin Xuecheng last time. Are you going to be used as a tool again? Yin Sulian summoned the heavenly thunderbolt sword, she sneered. Yun Chujiu, don't try to sow discord between us with your lies. You've made me suffer a loss. I won't let you off today. I heard that you have a heavenly thunder root spirit. Let's see whether your heavenly thunder root spirit or my heavenly thunderbolt sword is stronger. After saying that, Yin Sulian's heavenly thunderbolt sword flew up and conjured a bolt of lightning toward Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu dodged and then waved her hand, and a purple lightning bolt struck at Yin Sulian. Yin Sulian was shocked when she saw the purple lightning. Seeing it in person was different from hearing others talk about it. Seeing Yun Chujiu's abnormal spiritual power attack with her own eyes made her even more jealous. She could not let Yun Chujiu live, otherwise, she would become a thorn in her side sooner or later. Chapter 975, Under Siege. Yin Sulian could not multitask. While commanding the heavenly thunderbolt sword, she could not use wind blades at the same time, so it was not difficult for Yun Chujiu to deal with her. What further upset Yin Sulian was that the heavenly thunderbolt sword's lightning was much slower than normal. It seemed to be a little afraid of Yun Chujiu. She put away the heavenly thunderbolt sword and used wind blades to attack Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu had already tested her strength before, so she was not afraid of her at all. She was angry at the same time. Yin Sulian, you idiot. How can you be so blind to who's the real enemy? I think it won't be long before the head of the Yin family changes. 5th level of the spirit sect. What a joke. Your weak spiritual power is almost the same as my first level of the spirit sect. Yin Sulian, Be careful or your sister will tell on you. In my opinion, compared to your sister, you are not just a little bit inferior. One is an angel, the other is a demon. One is a genius, and the other is a fool. Ha ha ha. Yin Sulian was almost driven mad with anger. Ever since she was young, she had been used to further accentuate Yin Xinlian's excellence. When Yun Chuzhou said that, how could she take it anymore? She attacked Yun Chuzhou like crazy. Yun Chuzhou wanted to anger her so that she could take the opportunity to find her weakness. As expected, as Yin Sulian grew more furious, she became more reckless. Yun Chuzhou saw the opportunity and struck Yin Sulian's left arm with a bolt of lightning. Yin Sulian screamed in pain and shouted in exasperation, "What are you all standing there for? Let's attack together and kill them. I will bear the consequences." When the others heard that, they began to attack Yun Chuzhou and the other three. Yun Chuzhou was still able to handle her opponent with ease, but Feng Ming and the other two were having a lot of trouble. They could not even fight one-on-one, let alone one-on-two. Yun Chuzhou was about to summon 5 immortal swords to finish off the 2 people in front of her when she heard Feng Ming cry out in alarm. Yun Chuzhou looked out of the corner of her eye and saw that Feng Ming had disappeared. Yin Xuecheng laughed out loud, that trash actually retreated into the forbidden area by accident. He's dead for sure. Ha ha ha. It turned out that during the fight, Feng Ming was repeatedly forced to retreat. He stepped into the forbidden area without paying attention. Gung Yi and Shi Xian looked at Yun Chuzhou anxiously. Yun Chuzhou gritted her teeth. Let's enter the forbidden area together and save senior brother Feng Ming. Yin Xuecheng laughed so hard that tears were about to come out. Stinky girl, do you think that the forbidden area is an inn or a restaurant? You still want to save him? If you go in, you'll die in there too. Yin Sulian did not speak. She wished that Yun Chuzhou would take the initiative to enter the forbidden area. If that was the case, she would definitely die in there. It was exactly what she wanted. Yun Chuzhou ignored them and brought Shi Xian and Gung Yi into the forbidden area. Almost at the same time, on the display screen outside Tianyuan Academy, the words, Group 250, turned gray. Immediately, someone noticed that, and immediately, a commotion broke out. Heavens, how did that Group 250 turn gray? Could it be that all 4 of them are dead? That can't be. The level of the demon beasts in the secret realm isn't that high. Moreover, even if they were to encounter danger, they could still send their spiritual sense into the jade token, and they would be teleported out. No one has ever died in any of the tests. How would they? I guess those 4 people really are useless. They forgot that they could use the jade plate to escape. This is the consequence of overestimating themselves. These 4 useless people from the Azure Mystic Continent couldn't enter the Tianyuan Academy after all. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.